Hello.
Quick, touch your hair.
I know how much you love it when I talk about my hair. Hello.
Yeah. Hello, everybody. Hello, Joke Pit fans. Hello, Sync fans. Hello, Sarah.
Hello. You're bloody outie shit again. Oh, you're frozen again. That could be the update to the Supertramp song, couldn't it? So it's raining again. You're frozen again. Oh no, I'm doing this on my own again. Hello, everyone. Anyone that's watching, hello. Yes, it is a nice sync, Bethany. Thank you very much. Ray. Hi, Ray. How are you doing? Lucy.
Perfect. Comedy timing. Hi. I do hope you filled the void, lady. Hello.
Hiya. Hi, Corinne.
Hello.
Oh, this is so exciting. I'm backstage. I get to see all the comments as well this week, and now I'm scared. I'm quite happy not to see. Just not even want to see you,
Lucy. Oh, my goodness me. We've got loads of people champing at the bit. Rob, yes, we're here.
We are here.
Bethany Dawson, lovely sync. Thank you very much. It's mine. Ray's up early. Nice to see you.
Yes.
Corinne's on. Corinne's daughter is the lovely girl that did the headshots for me.
Oh, cool. They're really good.
Local. Keep it local.
Yeah.
Supertramp, great band.
They are. Do you like Supertramp?
How have you been, darling? Tell me all about everything that's been going on in the Sea of Swans.
The Sea of Swansea. Well, I have to tell you that, although I didn't want to talk about the weather, because how boring is it? But the weather's been shite. And I've had to do work. So the weather's been shite and I've had to do work. But I'm also doing stuff in the garden. Mega exciting. Jeff Chapers! Woo! Yeah, and I got a bubble. Thanks, Jeff. Do you know what? I know you don't like me talking about my hair, but I'm going to talk about it just for 2 minutes. Or well, less than 1 minute.
It's not that I don't like you. It's just when it takes up half the interview.
I promise I won't. Can I just say, I washed my hair yesterday and it was perfect. I had such a good hair day. I nearly messaged you, but then I thought you will probably hit me over the head with a shampoo bottle all the way from Devon. So yesterday was great. Today it's getting on my nerves now. It's like, why is that? Why is it on the days when you never see anyone do you get a good hair day, and then the days you're like, oh, I'm going to be like broadcasting to the nation, it's getting on my nerves. So I don't know. It's down. It looks all right, but it's getting on my nerves. So it's going to go up. It's going to go up, guys. Sorry. Not sorry.
I agree wholeheartedly that be it male or female, if your hair looks good, nobody will see you. That is the rules. That's the original Sod's law.
It absolutely is.
I'd like to do my hair for the Lucy show, so it looks quite nice. And I can usually get a couple of days out of it. And yesterday I went to put some some shavings in the chicken house and noticed that they've got red mite. And then realised that I'd got red mite on me. And red mite is like a bug that half the size of a pinhead that you can feel crawling on you, but you can't see. No. So I had to wash my hair, get all that bounce and smooth and sleek out of it. Welcome to the countryside.
Oh, no, thank you. No, thank you to the red mite. Oh, have we got the opening credits actually?
Yes, right. Let's do the opening credits.
Jeff Chapers watching, king of songs. Wait till you see this, Jeff. Right. Amazing.
Everybody, strap in.
down to the kitchen sink. We will chat, we will make you think. You will not want to go to the loo. You could miss a lot if you have that poo. Stay and watch and join in. Yeah.
What do you think? Brilliant, isn't it?
It is very good. I mean, is there anything else that rhymes with poo?
There's so many. But loo and poo go together. And I did that on this very ukulele. Can you believe it?
Look at
Do you
that.
know,
It's not just up just to make you look good.
Whenever I take the ukulele to a gig, someone will come up and go, "Is that a guitar?" I'm not even joking about it. I got the Jeff Jacobs seal of approval. Thanks, Jeff. I don't know. Oh, look. Oh, I did my very first show. I showed.
Oh, I pressed it as well. Go on, Sarah. You do it. Drive it. Press it. Press it.
Yeah.
There we go.
I showed a comment. Boop, boop, boop. Very happy. Thanks, Jeff.
That's lovely on my Edinburgh poster.
Jeff Jacobs approved. Can I open for you sometime, please, Jeff?
So,
actually,
I could say I noticed that you're going to be on the cross-border comedy night.
Yes, Sunday night. Thank you. You know how shit I am at telling anyone what I'm doing. Yeah, 11 p.m. UK time. If we got anyone from abroad, because normally we have people listening on the podcast from Nigeria and America. Good day. Why do I say good day when I'm like America? Hey y'all in America. So it's 11 p.m. UK time. So if you can be asked to be up at 11 p.m. on Sunday, you can hear me. I'm gonna do. I don't know. I'll probably do my usual stuff, but I have been thinking of some new stuff as well. But I'm really missing doing stand-up because I did block comedy. Did we talk about this last week? Where I did the gig in the park, and since then I'm like, when's my next gig? I'm just missing it so much. So maybe gig online. I mean, I'm missing it so much. I'm even like, oh, maybe I could do more gigs online because I know you love the online gigs. I'm not having
an online gig.
I'm not having a go. But I have to say, it's like I love a live gig. I'm not. I think it's because when you're performing live, even if you're not getting the laughs, in your head you are. Because a smile will do.
Where I interrupt. People that think that there is a difference between live gigging and comedy gigging, without using F's and Jeffs, of course there fucking is. People are doing comedy gigs because there are no real ones. It's not like they got given choice of two and went, I can't be bothered fucking travelling.
Yeah. And it's like, you know, it's a form of comedy, and it's like people going, oh, I can't wait to get in real life. It is real life.
I know.
It's live.
I'm not asleep. They're not virtual.
No. So my week has been very boring, doing lots of work. Although I've got a new next door neighbour.
Ooh.
And so have you ever had? Yes. Yes, but so is the dog. So I'm like, oh, the dog's gone. I didn't get a chance to say goodbye because I didn't notice the last time the dog was going to be in the garden. I was trying to stop it from pooing in my garden. I didn't think that would be the last time. If I knew, I'd have been.
They have one shit for last, for all time's sake.
Yeah. Oh, I'll let you poo. This one last time. No, I know it. I was like, get out of my garden. Stop pooing in my garden. Evie, move. But she is so cute. What time does Louise play the... Oh, hang on. Look, I'm going to show again. Hello, Franimal. Franimal, that's a nice name. I like that. Franimal. Yeah. I wouldn't like to ask Louise if she plays the ukulele, because in female comedy terms, it's a bit of a... Oh, Frank. Hi, Frank. It's a bit of a trope, isn't it? That's why I'm always a bit reticent to bringing the old ukulele out, because it's a bit of a, oh, she's a woman playing the ukulele. What a surprise, you know? I don't know. I don't know. Probably in my head it is. And also, you have heard my ukulele skills.
It's really not to other people. I'm going to say, I don't see a woman holding a ukulele and think, oh God, there was another 5 of them just a minute ago.
No, that's true.
Yeah, as long as she doesn't make a song about fucking Street View map, we are fine.
Yeah, Google me on YouTube, everyone. Let's give more views to the absolute CUNT that would not friggin' well take that friggin' thing down from 12 years ago.
But she's not friggin' annoyed.
Friggin' yeah, no, not at all.
So I had I've had one gig in Totnes cancelled.
Ah, what? Why? What, a real one? One in real life?
The the amazing Bridgewater gig that keeps moving further and further away.
Yeah.
Then we've got then I've got one
that's in Bridgend, by the way.
What did I say?
Bridgewater.
It is Bridgewater.
It's not, it's Bridgend.
Bridgewater.
The one that I'm on as well.
Hobos.
Yes. It's Bridgend.
It's Bridgewater.
Okay. How much do you want to bet?
Hang on.
I could do with some extra money. How much do you want to bet? Yeah, yes, Frank. One is in Somerset, so I would like to make sure that at least one of us is in the right place. Preferably both of us. I'd be a bit gutted if you were in the right place.
Oh, please don't tell me it's Bridgend.
It's Bridgend.
Oh, it can't be. I'll still fucking do it. I just didn't realise it was 6 hours away. I thought it was half an hour away.
Yeah. You have to stay
I'll
over.
do it anyway. To be honest, it is Bridgend. Bollocks.
Never mind. So how's the week going, Lucy?
It's going brilliantly. I've got a gig in London.
Online or in real life? IRL?
In real life.
Woo, when?
On the 18th September. So I hope, I imagine that I'll buy a train ticket and then the gig will get cancelled.
Yeah. Oh no. Well, you could buy a ticket on the day, couldn't you? Or do you have to buy? It wouldn't be that much cheaper, much further in.
It's £100 to do a 5-minute set anyway.
Can't you drive? Wouldn't it be cheaper to drive?
I can. It's just it's difficult where to park in.
Oh no. Okay. People watching us, you've got to help Lucy out now. I always drive to London. And I found quite a few places where you can park fairly cheaply. You can choose a tube line and park near there. You can. Where do I normally go? Not Brixton. Where do I go? It's a shame Ali isn't watching. She would know where I normally go because we've stayed up there for when we were protesting Brexit. What's the name? Beginning with a H. Hounslow, not Hounslow. Hackney. So there's car park near there. It's big for a whole day.
It is in Fulham Comedy Club on the 18th.
Google where you can park. You probably pay maybe 50 quid petrol then instead of 100, and then you can choose when you can go.
Yeah, my friend's going to try and put me on a gig that he's got on the 19th, so I could try and do 2 gigs whilst I'm in London. But that was all before you could have 30 people and then 6 people.
Yeah.
I'm saying yes to things. I just don't believe that they'll happen.
Right. Yeah, it is. Yeah, you know what? It is hard. What attendant is Lucy seducing? Say that sentence 3 times quick.
Luke is in Canada.
Okay.
Yes, he's all the way.
I love Canada.
It's free to park in Turnberry and Hammersmith after 6. Both are 3 minutes from the tube. Oh, that is Frank. I thought it was Frank. Now I've seen his picture just off the M4. Yeah, so I'm agreeing to things. I just don't know if they're going to go ahead. I mean, the fans of last week, you'll notice that I started it with a rant about how I went to Caerphilly and they're all walking around, touching each other, coughing at each other, walking within centimetres of each other, licking each other's faces, all that kind of stuff. And then all of a sudden, my brother texts me and says, "Oh, Caerphilly's on lockdown." And my response was, "You fucking deserve it."
Well, I was like, how can they be? Because the whole of Wales is like the lowest R rating of the whole of the UK. I was feeling very smug about that, thinking, we're doing fine without the masks. And I was like, oh, Caerphilly, you let us all down now, guys. Did you see any of the BBC reportage of it? There was one guy, the first guy was like, oh, it's a load of bullshit. I'm walking around whatever I want anyway. It's all made up by the government. And then 3 after him were all like, oh, fair enough. It's better to be in lockdown and hopefully we'll be safe. So made him look like a right knob. Well done, BBC. I thought, oh my God, are they going to have loads of people going, it's all bullshit? But then the first one.
You know, when you've got a shopping trolley and you're mooching through the supermarket and you're leaning with your elbows, you know, you're just leaning on the trolley. Well, we were at the self-scan, putting the cat food through. Yeah. And there's a guy behind me and he's pushed right to the pot where his trolley is that far from me. Even though there is no one behind him. This is not peak shopping time. He just wants to be all up in my grill, man. And then he's leaning like that on the handle of the shopping trolley, and I was like, "Do you just want to touch my face?"
Did you say that to him? Do you know, in height of lockdown, when we were all queuing outside Tesco's, like, you know, Soviet Union, Russia, there was a guy that was leaning on his trolley, and he was on his phone. He wasn't looking where he was going, and he bumped into me. And the trouble is, because you're queuing in a snake, we were queuing in a snake, so everyone can look at you. So I gave him my best Paddington Bear hard stare, which, you know.
Sorry, Seb, but you know that doesn't work, right?
It does, so does. You've not had a hard stare off me. I'm like, I'm really filthy. If I'm in the mood, I can shoot out a nasty, filthy stare.
For our male viewers,
Should I practice my filthy stare on you?
Come on then.
Right, will you be able to cope with it though? You know it's not for reals. I'll pretend it's for reals, okay? So you've just bumped into me, right? So you've just bumped into me, okay? We're in the queue at Tesco. You've just bumped into me. Oh. Commit. Right, I'm gonna commit. I'm committing. Here we go. You've bumped into me. Oh. Right, bump.
Oh, fair enough. You do look rough.
That's a good one. That's good, isn't it? Would you be scared? Seeing that? Would you be like...
But you report it back, you go, I gave them my best Paddington Bear hard stare. You cannot prefix anything with I gave them my best Paddington Bear hard stare. But I love the fact you said that you're dirty if you're in the mood.
Yes. Oh my God. We haven't had anyone on here for a while having a go at us. So yeah, that would be cool. Call them everything dirty.
I just think
all our audience are dirty animals, so they love it.
I just think, if you're gonna walk around knowing that you had having the worst value, whatever the fuck it is. Yeah. And they're gonna walk around like, oh, I don't need a mask because I've got superpowers. This Brillo cream is gonna make the coronavirus bounce off my fucking face. Then it's a case of you get what you deserve, and I want to get everybody that donated for that bloody charity night for them. I want to get all their monies back and give them back to them with a Freddo to say sorry.
Oh, I could eat a Freddo actually.
No, you can't.
No.
Mind over matter, willpower, and whatnot.
I've done so well this week. I've done 3 food. I'm on this is probably I'm so rosy.
Lovely, darling. Your skin does look lovely.
Thanks, babe. This is what not even shit does for you. At least I could be in the right. I could be really, really nasty. Mind you, I just thought if he goes into me again, I'm actually going to say something. But it's embarrassing when everyone's looking at you, though, isn't it?
Well, I don't know. I quite enjoy having a little strop.
You do Slim at Frank, right? Frank. Okay, sorry. Very excited. Slimming World. How long have you been in Slimming World? How many sins a day do you have, and what do you see sins on? I like a potato. Hello. That's not the answer to the question. Come on. I mean, how many sins?
How many times? Right.
You're allowed 20. Right. Okay. 20 sins. How long have you been doing it for?
Factual? Is that how many sins you're allowed?
20 sins. If you're on Slimming World, right? Because on Slimming World, right? They just tell you, right? They don't tell you anything. They just say, right, eat loads of veg, and if you eat meat, you can eat loads of meat. But if you eat meat, you're not allowed to eat potatoes. But if you don't eat meat, you can eat potatoes, and you're allowed so many points, and you can do what you want with those points. And it's none of that teaches you how to eat properly. It doesn't tell you anything about nutrition.
How many sins are in a gin and tonic?
I reckon about 5. Frank, how many is it? What do you reckon?
So if you don't eat, you can have 4 gins a day.
Yeah, exactly. Or a Mars bar. Or, 1 Mars bar, maybe 2 Mars bars and no food. Or 3 G&Ts, no food. Anyway, it's not healthy, is it?
Right, so this is great. We've got our podcast listeners that we're interacting with people on the chat about Slimming World. And before we bring our guest in from the dining room, I just want to say as well, Sarah, I dreamt of you.
Oh, did you?
I did. I dreamt of you. I had things to do. I've got to buy some new work shoes for my new job in that restaurant because they want a good grip. They want a good grip before you go in and out the kitchen, which is fair enough. Yeah. But as I only had a trial run, I wasn't buying fuck all until I got the job. Oops. And I dreamt.
I went 14 sins.
So I dreamt I went to a massive shopping mall in Swansea and I met you.
Yes.
And it was our first time we really met, and you still wouldn't get off the fucking sofa, so I don't know how tall you are.
But I could tell you, but why spoil the surprise? How tall do you think I am?
I think you said it's about 4'8", isn't it?
Close enough.
You're 5, aren't you? But just a little bit.
A little titchy, little bit over 5. I'm 5'1". So I'm short but broad. I'm as wide as I'm tall. I'm great for the neck.
You're setting me up to laugh at jokes which are really debasing and I can't back at it. Horrible. Oh, well, have you got one of these?
I have.
Ooh, I've
got a full one for when I don't want to be drunk anymore. And I've got, look, I bought new iridescent glasses.
Wow. Your washing machine will get that right off.
I am the washing machine. I don't have a washing machine. Let's get Louise in because
well, if Louise gives us a thumbs up, if she's ready to come on board, yeah, she is. We can get her in from the dining room. Right, I'll do it this time, but next week you can bring them in unless you know how to do it. Okay. Press on Louise Square.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, welcome in from the dining room. It's Louise Leigh.
Hello. Hello, you all right?
I wondered what you were fiddling with.
I'm doing knitting, obviously.
Oh, very nice. What are you knitting?
It doesn't matter, does it?
No, not at all. I'm just curious.
So,
is it a cock warmer ready for the winter?
Well, do you know, when we went into lockdown in March, I rushed to the yarn shop for a sort of lockdown stock up.
Yeah.
I haven't knitted in years, but I just thought I might like to knit. And I bought a pattern for a lovely chunky wool. I've got a lovely chunky wool with a pattern with a stripe on it. And I bought a pattern and it included a scarf with a lovely lacy pattern on, you see there.
Oh, that's beautiful. Yeah.
but those are meant holes, Sarah Bridgman. Those are holes that are meant to be on there.
Right.
And then my dog ate my pattern. So now I'm just doing it plain.
Oh.
But the point is not to enjoy the result, but to enjoy the process. And so I just knit. And whenever I want to give anything up, I knit. So I gave up smoking through the magic of knitting. I'm trying to be more present and less on my phone. So now knitting. But it doesn't matter. When I gave up smoking, I just knitted this massive amorphous lump. It would be art now. I'd know it was contemporary art, darling. Textiles.
You're going to frame it when it's done.
Well, I would have done if I'd kept it in 1980, whatever it was, the first time I gave up smoking. But
I can give up smoking whenever I want. I do it all the time. No, I've never given up smoking. I have no intentions either.
I tell you hello, Harry Ray. When it comes to it, I heartily recommend knitting because it's as addictive. You can't go to bed until you finished a row, and it's really good for that. And I just want to point out that I'm looking very smart. This is. I did contemplate not putting makeup on my frankly filthy face, but I did in the end. And I'm wearing my painting jumper because it was what was lying around, and I was being a creative today. And this is where my dog attacked the painting jumper, and I thought, oh, I could get in a fight about it, or I could just chop off the sleeve.
I don't mean to be obvious here, but you could start knitting the other sleeve.
Well, do you know, if I had that level of skill, that's what I do. But I can't. It's straight lines or nothing.
Oh, it looks nice. I think it looks creative if you leave
I
it.
look like an artist, and I look like an artist. I do like an artist.
Yeah, absolutely.
So to everybody who's just tuned in, we've welcomed our guest Louise Leigh, who I have nicknamed the First Lady of Bristol, and I'll fight anybody. I'll fight the other 8 people you said that you were bad.
Louise would be nice. I mean, if not the 27th, I don't know, but thank you.
Could be the First Lady, Mark Olver.
No, because there's people like Sally Ann Hayward and blah blah blah. But I interfere with things. So
animals, children, anyone we know?
Children, animals, all of them. I run the Funny Women Night. That's all I do. Not much.
I hear that you have submitted some writing in. So today is a celebration. And I'm fascinated to know, are you somebody who makes a good schedule for achieving writing? Or, sorry, Bridgman's drinking out of the bottle there. We've got a glass. You just bought a brand new one.
That's wine. I'm drinking out of the bottle. At least it's beer. Classy.
But are you somebody that does targeted sections where you do a little bit each day? Or do you watch that timeline slowly approach you and then you write in a manic frenzy towards the last minute?
So my process.
Yeah, look the process, darling. We want to learn from you.
Depends what I'm writing for. If I'm writing stand-up, whatever it is, if there's a deadline, I will be still writing. Like I was listening back to the last preview. It was only my second preview, but I did a preview of what would have been my lovely Edinburgh show in February or March. And I get 3/4 of the way through it and I go, and then I'm going to end it somehow, but I haven't written it yet. And I'm still writing. I was like, so today, so I've been writing this, and it's just a speculative sitcom for a new writing competition that's closed today. And I've been writing it since March, but I've done more work on it in the last 3 days than I've ever done on it. And I wish I was different, but I'm not. And I think my process has always been, like when I was at uni, I would get the question that I was going to do an essay on or whatever, and I would read it and I would get really excited about it because I'm a nerd, and I'd be like, oh, and I would kind of do my reading and then go, oh, it's a bit boring, have a sleep, all the other things you do when you're a student. And then 24 hours before the essay was due, oh shit, and just write it and not read it through particularly. And I think that's what suits me. And I think I could pretend that I'd like to be something else, but I'm not. So
yeah.
So as a mother, watching your children ploughing towards, well, what we historically used to call exams, do you completely stand by and understand when they leave everything to the last minute and do it all on the flap, or do you pretend that you're, St. Louise? You should really be doing it a little bit every single day. Make a timetable. Apply yourself.
I'm a terrific maker of timetables, so I will do that. I mean, to be fair, I love my firstborn is going to do GCSEs. He's year 11 this year, so he's going to do GCSEs this year. So this is the first time, because he's clever and applies himself all year. What a nerd. Fucking nerd. Anyway. He's clever and he applies himself all year, and when he gets to revision and he's got to be a fucking nerd, but he's autistic, right? So he's got a really good reason. He's got like a certificate of being a nerd. He applies himself all year, and then you get to the point where he's supposed to start revision. He goes, well, I don't understand, I know this, why am I doing it again? And he really doesn't understand what revision is. So I think that's going to be a big challenge come study leave time, that I'm going to go, right, all that work you've just done for the last 2 years, you're going to do it again now. And he's like, because he can't fathom that he might forget it. And he will forget some of it, because we all do, even if we're quite clever, we will forget it. And also their schools, both of their schools have been quite low key about exams. They kind of go, oh yeah, they've got exams this week. And you go, all right then. All right, well, you either know it or you don't.
Yeah.
Wow, so there's no cure. It could be another fiasco this in 2021.
Yeah, it does seem really like, what's the point anyway? And then there's going to be no jobs. And wasn't it lovely to be spitting children out into the world into this? Is just quite a thought. I mean, at least when I was their age, I only had the threat of nuclear oblivion.
How strong is that?
That is 4.9%, which makes a change from the usual 0.05. So.
Well, it's a proper writer's life, isn't it? Dylan Thomas-esque.
I used to teach of really it's like the antithesis of chavness. The school I used to teach in, it was so fucking rough. And the kids were all bloody little scallies. And I remember I was covering maternity leave last term, so just before GCSE coursework had to be handed in. And these little scroats, these little scroats would
not missing you. Sorry,
I'd be like, I've done no work for my coursework. Can you help me? Knowing that they've done nothing but dick about for 2 years, and now they expect someone to spoon feed them this coursework. And you can't, that's the thing, is as a kryptonite, as a teacher, you can't say no to a kid if they're asking you for help. It's someone teaches the secret password, like on the last minute of the last week, just go, please, miss, would you help me? I know I'm a prick, but I really want to get through the GCSE coursework. And you're like,
And there's always one. At least one.
Oh no, that's how that was their planet.
Well, I mean, that was me really, except much more expensively. My parents paid a lot for me to be that much for scrote. And I thought one of my things I thought about this year was I thought that it would favour people who weren't like me, who didn't, he's gorgeous, isn't he? He would favour people who didn't just sort of skid in at the last minute like Indiana Jones and roll under and suddenly do some work on study leave and then kind of do well. And I thought that would at least that would be a sort of balancing act for the people who had bothered to apply themselves all year. I don't know if in the end that's what we got, but I was horrified by the fiasco, let me tell you. I'm not a fan of a fiasco, nor indeed of a debacle.
Yeah.
I mean, who wants a farce?
I don't mind a farce. I don't mind a farce. But God, a debacle. Not keen on a debacle.
I had cream for them once. They didn't come back.
Oh, I've got a pain in me debacles.
So you two snooty booties have been live gigging. I know Louise has because she told me on the other show we did, but I'm trying not to get down about it, but there's not that many opportunities round here. And all the ones that were going ahead have cancelled.
Yeah, sorry about that. It is really lovely. I'd love to be like, oh, they're crap. They're crap. It's terrible. Yeah, I mean, it is weird. It's weird. It's not like going into a room full of people, but they do 4 times. There's only a quarter of as many people in a room, but they do 4 times as much loving being there, which is really lovely, you know, and you get the real sense that they are so grateful to not be sitting at home watching some, you know, having a Zoom quiz with their nearest and dearest. And
yeah, because you were on, you did the park last night, didn't you, in Cardiff?
I did the park in Cardiff, yeah.
I did that the last time it was on. I think last Sunday. So, and it was lovely. They were just so nice.
Oh,
it was
whoopie do.
But what I was going to ask, you know, if we could ignore Lucy being bitter.
Well, point laugh.
Yeah. Did you? Yeah. Did you do any material on COVID, or did you just do your normal stuff?
Ooh,
do you know what's weird is that I've forgotten not so much the bits, but how they lump together. So I've it feels like, I don't want to say this publicly because it will go wrong from now on, but it feels like I've almost moved up a gear, because which is weird because I shouldn't have. I should have definitely dropped back, and in a way I have, because I've forgotten all my jokes. But I haven't got my jokes. I've forgotten how they. So if I, like before lockdown, if somebody booked me for a 20-minute set, I'd be like, well, I know what I'm going to say. I'm going to say this, end on the leg shave, bang, bang, bosh, away. And now I get up there and I'm like, oh, I've no.
Yeah.
And which means I'm much more prepared to derail myself, or kind of go, oh, do you know what? Forget it. I'm not going to do that. And make it. I mean, I can't do that in my head. I have to do it out loud. Oh no, stop it. Right. I've forgotten the callback. Let's move on. And when I really grow up, I'll be able to do it in my head. But it's like that. So I'm really enjoying gigging much more because I'm much loosey goosey, chucking. And like my husband always said, it's weird that I am so much more sort of hyper at home, right? And I throw myself around and like, you know, making funny faces, doing the silly voices. And then I got on stage and I'm a bit straighter because I think people can't handle a middle-aged woman. That's someone's mum.
Yeah.
And, she thinks she is. And so, but I've just decided, sod it. I'm so happy to be out there. And if I end up dicking about a bit more, well, then they'll just have to like it. Because I'm there and I've got the I'm there for, unless you start chucking things at me, I'm there. So buckle up, as they say in Cliche Town. And, and you know, we'll see what happens. A bit more. I mean, I'm not just randomly blurting. I mean, I am.
I got really nervous. I got super nervous. It was so stupid. I planned a prep for it, and on the day before, I'm like, this is going to be amazing. I'm going to really look forward to it. And then on the day, I just got more and more nervous. So in the end, the thing that helps calm my nerves down, is talking to the audience which is what I used to do a lot of, and then I tried to, because I think it could be construed as just messing about too much, and it's a bit of a risk if they're not laughing. So I've been trying to temper that down and do material, but I just went back to, I'm just going to not just chat, but chatted a bit, and I made everyone sing the family quiz song, and then that calming my family quiz. It's Friday night. Oh, I won't do it. And then it just calmed me down enough to actually remember my material.
Just people, and which I was terrified. I can't even remember what the first gig back was.
That was that was my first gig back.
Oh, your first gig back was with Russell Howard.
Was it the Russell Howard one?
Oh my god! Oh my god! How was that?
One back. Oh god! I feel
you
like
said your first one back was when he went flouncy because the woman had a phone.
Oh yeah, she was horrible. Yeah, no, he was right. I mean, but yeah, I was at that gig. I was in the national press. I was in the Daily Mirror, right at the bottom of the article, and Louise Leigh.
I rewrote that story. I sent it to my friends, but I took the words comedian and changed it to comedian to see how it would read if a female comedian had left the gig because somebody refused to stop filming them. And I thought, I wonder if it would be a little bit more printed. If it wasn't that a professional man had wanted his art to be protected, whereas a woman, probably on the blob, flounced out with a hissy fit.
Yeah, that's an interesting thought, isn't it? I wonder if, though, that there just aren't that many women who are kind of household names in that way. No, because my first gig back was with Paul Sinner.
Oh, lovely
household name. Yeah, so I had done, there was a sort of point where I'd done 3 gigs and they'd all just been with people off the telly. And, I'm sorry, I don't do gigs unless there's someone off the telly. Anyway, that's how it felt, but don't worry, it's all fine. I'm back to standard issue now. But I kind of, and Paul Sinner was talking about how he just has to sort of fart and the Daily Mail pick it up, because he is all the things they hate. Well, he's Asian, he's gay, he's Canadian, he's like, for them, he's an intersectional dreamboat of hate figures. And he's a doctor as well, and obviously we all know they're lefties now.
Yeah.
And conservatism wrong if doctors are lefties. That's what I think. Oh yes, you're not worthy, Harry Ray. Harry Ray's just said, we're not worthy to spend time with me. And he's got a very
You made that sound so threatening. Get in the house. Get in the house. No, get in the cupboard.
Sorry.
I feel like sending Ray some self-esteem. How to improve your self-esteem?
The thing with Paul Sinner is because obviously, is it Huntington's or Parkinson's? Parkinson's. Yeah. One of the radio shows I enjoy listening to, they've got one of the team members is a big Liverpool fan. And apparently, Paul Sinner tweeted something like, "Cheers Liverpool for winning the." I'm using words that aren't in my dictionary here, ladies.
Winning the football cup. Yeah.
Cheers Liverpool for winning a football cup and doing it in my time, because obviously he knows that his time is shorter. Right. And there were just so many sort of football fans that were just like, and when he said that, it. All these hard football red fans that are just like,
I love the way that football gets men to show their feelings in a way that we never could.
Yeah. If only we had football, isn't it?
If only we were footballs.
Yeah. Well,
I had a boyfriend.
My brain just went very dark for a minute.
I had a boyfriend who said to me out loud the words, it goes, music, football, you. All right.
How long did that last?
6 years!
What? He was talking about you. No, it's not all right, dickhead.
Improve our self-esteem, Louise. Don't ask me. I stayed with him for 6 years.
Oh, thank the Lord. You're not with him anymore.
Oh my God. You know who dumped who? Who dumped him? Who dumped who? Did I dump him?
Don't tell me. No. Come on. How old were you when you started that relationship?
19.
Well, there we are.
Okay.
That's okay.
We don't know
36.
anything.
This isn't the same guy that you said last time you were in the car and he was on the phone to his mate and said you were a 5 or something. Something
It was
terribly horrible.
A 6. A 6. Not a 5. Fuck off.
Oh,
Yeah,
I
he went,
nice.
some men are assholes, aren't
he
they?
went like that. He went like that. I've got a lady with me. But a 6.
I missed who that was. Who was that called you a
A
six?
boy I went out with. A boy I went out with briefly. Yeah.
Oh, right. Because
I
And
said
I just gone out.
services.
Well, Leigh Delamere, I reckon it was. Or could be Membry. Could have been Membry, actually. It was the services on the M4. We were going past, and I remember thinking I should just say, get me out. Let me get out of the services. But I didn't. A true prince. Harry Ray says he was a true prince among men. Yes, he was.
And that's why many of us are single.
I mean, I did put it into a comedy bit, but I mean, I don't know how funny, how much of a joke it is. I am considering going gay, only based by how much I really dislike men at the moment.
I think there are a lot of lesbians I've been reading on Twitter who are quite fed up of straight women going gay because of how crap men are.
Well, maybe straight men should stop pushing us that way.
Right?
The cause and the effect.
I know. It's amazing, you know.
It's not the lesbians' fault, though, is it?
No,
I mean, you can, but I mean, and I don't want to like piss on your chips, Lucy. But how old are you?
39.
They don't get better,
No.
you know. and what happens is, I mean, I suppose maybe you know, just the better women just get feder uppera. You know, as they come off the divorce line. Like I feel good that mine was kicked off the men are so awful. It's why Harry Ray doesn't have sex with them. Because it would really save us a bother.
Someone has to.
Someone's got, I mean, we're already doing all the hoovering and all the
knitting.
All the knitting. I've been reading that book. Have you read the book Invisible Women by Caroline Perez? Read it if you want to do some
I've
rape.
heard of it.
I think I have. Is that the one about how everything's geared to? Yes, I have.
Everything, just everything in the world is physically not geared around us. They just literally haven't thought about us at all. So I'm reading it as an audiobook, but I set it to 1.3 times the speed.
Just to get through it.
Another thing.
Yeah.
I was listening to it on the way to Cardiff last night, and as I got out of the car, I was just a ball of rage. Just a rage. What do you mean 47% more likely to die in a car accident? They think, but they actually haven't done the numbers on it.
It's shocking.
What's that thing on the BBC? It's about sort of post-war American getting women the vote or getting a female in Congress.
Is it called Mrs. America?
That's the one, Mrs. America. Now, I watched a couple of those and I got too angry to continue because it's not fiction. It's not like in my head that someone can do something or press a button or put something through and it all gets better. The thing is, I know how it's going to end. And it's like,
yes,
it's like reading, it's like watching that second film in the Fellowship of the Ring. Like, you know, the ring is not going to be put in the fucking volcano. It's this pointless fucking journey that doesn't result in happiness.
Oh, you see, that's why I'm glad I didn't read the books. Because
oh God, They're like,
there
just
was
loads of them, and they're that thick, and it's all description about the bloody countryside. And you're like, Jesus Christ! I don't know how anyone. Spoiler alert! I don't know how anyone reads Lord of the Rings. Sorry, my sister and my mum love it, but I'm like, how? So boring.
No, even my son doesn't read them, and he's reading Pratchett for the second time. Complete work.
Pratchett's quite good. I like. I watched. I listened. I read a few of the Discworld, but for me, they get a bit samey. You like what?
I love how you didn't know which verb to use. I watched, I listened, I read. It's like I say, I read a book. I say I read a book. What I mean is I listened to a podcast.
Yeah. Quick query, audiobooks. Do we read them or do we listen? I'm like, I listen to an audiobook.
I listen.
But, well, I think I will say I read that Invisible Women book by Caroline Criado Perez, but I am listening to it. I'm not reading it. I am.
Adam Buxton podcast, when he talks about reading a book, he will mean listen to an audiobook.
Marry him.
What? Would you marry
him?
I can't. He's already married, and he doesn't know who I am. Wow. And it's gonna have to stay that way because I couldn't cope. I love him.
You know what? I love him too. Do you know what? When we were in deepest long lockdown, his podcast, not the whole thing, although have you listened to the Tash Dimitri one? It's so funny.
So good.
So good. She's so funny. But the bit where he's walking Rosie out I was just like, and I don't know if his ramble book, I know he's audio reading it himself.
Louise.
What?
Audiobook. I've got both. I've got a signed copy, which I haven't read yet, but the audiobook is amazing.
Does it have the crunch of the East Anglia paths underneath it though?
I think so. Yes.
Because that's what I want, that sense of him being outside with his dog friend Rosie. And even though I was walking my dog every single day through the whole thing, the sense of comfort and outsideness that I got from listening to him crunching along was just magic.
There's a little bit of that, I think, but there's not a whole lot of it. But
I want that whole thing. I'm not even going to listen to it.
Okay, don't listen to it.
Crunchy Rosie, and if he doesn't do the voice, I could skip most of the interviews, but the bit before where he's on a dog walk with Rosie, and Rosie's getting on now, and it's
Rosie. Oh no, I know.
I get that sense of tension vis-a-vis Rosie.
I'm a bit worried about Rosie, but we've been through so many deaths with Adam, though, isn't it?
I know.
There was
that's our age group, that's what it is.
Yeah. Oh God, I can't even think about it. Obviously, me and Lucy have dealt with cat bereavement recently, but with Adam, like it was one. I'm impressed that he keeps it in because there's one about when he was talking about his dad and he choked up. I'm like, oh, I'm sorry, and he just went and then came back. And I'm like, oh my God, and he kept that in. But it's kind of
8. Do you know what I mean? He was at boarding school from a stupidly young age. That's what you learn there.
Oh God, yeah, I don't get it. Like how? I mean, I don't know how. Were you a boarder when you went to public school, or were you a boarder? Yeah. How old were you when you were boarded?
I was 12, which was great because I didn't,
Because some of them, like when I was 19,
my brothers were 8.
Yeah, I was going to say when I was 19, not me. I wasn't boarded when I was 19. I was like an au pair. They called me a nanny, but I wasn't qualified. So I looked after this couple in London. They lived in Ladbroke Grove in a 5-story house, and the husband was a partner at a bank. They were rich. And I was frigging in the basement, and the kids' nursery was on the top.
In the basement.
They kept me in the basement, right?
Just frigging in there.
I didn't last long. 2 months, and I was gone. I was out of there.
Please, can you take your nanny away? Her fingers are too smelly.
I thought the kids said about okie dokie. I was like, okie dokie. And the parents were not happy about that. I'm like, spring for a paid nanny, spring for a qualified nanny then. If you're not happy with me saying okie dokie.
You're partner in a bank, you pay for £12.50 for a nanny. Do you know what I mean?
Not
100 quid a week from a pair.
Bastards. Yeah, partner in a bank. You got the money, dude. One arsehole. But the kids were like, the older kid, Lexi, they were aiming to send him away when he was 7. It's so young. Why have kids if you're going to send them off at 7? I don't get it.
Well,
I
you know
was
what?
absolutely distraught. I couldn't board.
You what?
I couldn't board. They shut our boarding house down just as I was due to join and made it fully day. So I got really upset because I wanted to go boarding. My brother boarded from 11.
Oh my
Yeah.
God.
Well, I mean, you know, in my parents' defence, they wanted to send me. I didn't live in a city. I lived in a tiny little town. Well, I mean, and so there weren't, the options were limited, and the alternative was the school that would have been an hour and a bit away. You know, if they wanted to pay for my education, they would have had to go. I'd have been 2.5 hours a day on a bus, or dispatch me hence 45 minutes drive away from my house. You know, and I'm still really good friends with the women that I met there, and you know, they make me laugh more than anybody has ever or can ever make me laugh. We're ridiculous. We're so stuck at 12. It's just, you know, first of us turns 50 in November, and we are, you know, we will. We go away over here and we would just genuinely play. So like we went to this really lovely spa weekend. I don't know if I've told you this. With this amazing spa weekend, it's very, very, very posh spa hotel. One of my friends runs this beautiful hotel and she gets really good discounts on really, really, really smart. So we're paying like 50 quid a night to stay in like a 5-star hotel in off season. And anyway, we're in this spa and they've got a sauna, and there's a glass wall between the sauna and the next 2 sweaty hot rooms of slightly different temperatures with a glass wall in between them. 2 of us go into one, 2 of us go into the other, and we start playing charades in between.
Obviously.
We're playing charades with our sort of, you know, saggy middle-aged lady bosoms, and it would have been fine if we'd been on our own. But there were real people there as well. we're dying of like, you know, the friends that you have when you're 13, 14, you know how you laugh with them, like, so your legs buckle. We're laughing till our legs buckle at each other, all like doing these sort of really sort of personal in jokes, trying to mime stuff at each other. And my friends is like, there are people here. We're like, yeah, we don't care, we just play. So, you know, what a blessing they are. You know, I love them. But I think living in Ladbroke Grove and sending your children to boarding school is fucking criminal.
Yeah.
It's not like there's not schools in London.
Yeah. I mean, they were round the corner from the Montessori school that they were going to.
They're not far from that one where Jacob Rees-Mogg with the ridiculous trousers.
Yeah.
That's not a boarding school. That's a very lovely day school in Chelsea. And they wear ridiculous maroon knickerbockers. And I used to go past them on the way to school, on the way to work.
Yeah.
Very, Harry Ray, have you not worked out? Extremely posh. Shut up.
I didn't go. I went to a comprehensive. I'm surprised anyone talked to me. So I'm not going to try. I'm common. Doesn't matter really, does it?
I used to walk past those poor blighters, the Jacob Rees-Mogg school, in their maroon knickerbockers in the morning on my way to my first job in London when I lived in London, and I'd feel really sorry for them. And I wore a cape to school. My school was a literal cape, and I felt sorry for those poor sods. But I wasn't in London. I was in the northeast of Scotland. It was cold, and a cape.
So we had grey.
Mm-hmm.
So we had grey rat skirt with pleats, and then a
or kilt, as we call it north of the border. Yes.
Well, no, kilt overlaps. Ours was just a continual. Like,
okay.
As my mother would have put it, a shit to iron, and nobody that made it ever fucking ironed it. And then a grey pinafore that's all connected over it. And this horrendous woman from New Zealand took over as headmistress and took the uniform out. made it comprehensive colours, navy, wanted it to let me not stand out. The thing is that uniform had been the uniform since 1642, since it started. And little old ladies would come up to you in the supermarket and be like, you went to my school, and they'd start talking to you, and they talk about the building, and it was this lovely sort of baton of old to new. That uniform was the melting point.
School.
Yeah, and this horrendous woman came in and took the uniform away, and then they made it mixed sexed in the sixth form, so they took away that as well. And now her deputy head, what was her name? If you're watching, Turner, that was it, as in Turner and Hooch, because we always remembered it because she looked like a dog. And they just absolutely destroyed any standards that school had whatsoever. And it's sort of, I used to be proud of saying which school I went to, and now it's fucking guess I'm not advertising for them pricks.
And I'm sure they're delighted. What are you? What is it? You're a lorry driver, is it? Yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
lorry driver for Beyonce. Lorry driver for Beyonce. Suck it.
You're not, are you? Do you know what my electric bicycle is called?
Beyonce.
No, Betty Beyonce.
Solange.
Betty, what?
Solange.
Solange. Because when I want to go up hills on my bike, I conjure in my mind strong women, and my granny was a athlete. Beyonce. So at the bottom of the hill, I will pray to Saint Beyonce, and when I get 2/3 of the way up, I'll switch to Betty, my granny, for power. Right? I need power. But my electric bike gives me power without the praying, so it's Betty Beyonce. Yeah. Anyway, you've drove a truck for Beyonce. Does that mean you've met Beyonce? Have you touched Beyonce? Did you touch her?
We weren't allowed in the hallways. We were cleared out of the way.
Did you wave at her? Have you seen her?
No, I've seen her daughter and her daughter's nanny. I did
enough for me,
and I did principal spotlight on occasion. So I mean, she had my light in her face.
Straight from you to her and back again.
Exactly, that's my light. My name's Lucy, bringer of light in Latin. Beyonce, suck that
I'll be
up.
backing him in.
Sarah, Sarah, goer of toilets.
We don't.
I have to go and be Louise, shusher of dogs.
It just be me, Lucy, drinker of lager.
I think there's a cat. I think my dog is keen to tell me that there's a cat
in a 5 mile radius
in the house. God damn it! Almost as if we had 2 cats. we had his friend to stay, who's a schnauzer, and who's sadly called Boris. Listen, we had Boris to stay, and Boris was like, I don't mind telling you, I don't want to alarm you guys, but I don't want to scare you. I don't want to scare anyone, but I think there might be a cat. There's 2 of them. I can only really do that in emergency.
That's better.
Hey, that was better.
Wine.
Bringer of wine.
Our old cat, Dory, would stand at the back and go, Dory, and they go, and we believed it embarrassed him so much in front of his friends, he'd come in and go, oh, fuck's sake, that's ours.
What have you got? What is it? What is it?
Oh, that is a very good dog.
He's a very good boy. Yeah. Have you been out with him?
Oh, he's so cute.
Outdoor gigs are the way forward. You can start taking your dog to work.
And do you know what? Last night I did think I could have taken the kids and the dog.
Brilliant.
Yeah, I could have done, but he'd get in the way and be annoying. So no.
There was a dog that ran through that looked exactly like your dog at my gig while I was on stage. It was brilliant. It's not a gig without a dog anymore.
No, it's great because half my material's about that bastard. So it's quite good. Like, oh look, a dog. Oh, I got one of them.
Yeah. Now we're all back together because I do like to sometimes keep us on track conversationally, even though we do go wherever the conversation wants to go. But I can't resist having Louise and asking her this question. So, Louise, since the few and far between gigs have come back, have you noticed that the number of females on the bills are the same, higher, or lower than COVID?
It's really varied, actually, from the gigs that I do. So I have done some pro gigs where there have been 3 acts and I have been 30% of the acts, which I don't think is a bad proportion, right? If I'm doing a gig where there's 3 acts and one of them's a woman, I'm not going to make a fuss about that because there's not as many of us, right? And the reasons that there are not as many of us are, to do with patriarchy and blah, blah, blah. But at the end of the day, you know, I'm all right with that. There was a gig where I was booked on as one of 6, where I did kick up a fuss. And I said that I would pay a woman to do it out of my own money if that was what it took. Because I was just like, this isn't okay. Last night we had no white men on the bill.
Brilliant.
Ooh,
lovely. Big props to Essa for that, because that was a really lovely gig, and it was lovely to be on that one lineup. Everyone was brilliant. As if I had to. Why did I have to say that? Of course I did. I mean, I know there were no white men, but some of us were really funny.
Yeah.
And it was that was lovely. So I think it really depends who's running it, and I'm still seeing them out there. I'm still seeing those, man lineups.
And it's not just man, is it? It's white man lineup, and I think we should be at the point. Can't we get to the point where we look at that lineup and everyone goes, "This is weird. This is just weird. This is wrong. It's weird."
I think.
How can we get to that point?
Well, it's tricky, isn't it? Because there's so many things that are stopping it not being a white boys' game, honestly, right? So, and all of those institutional races, basically, once comedy has got all mixed lineups all the time, then essentially we'll have beaten racism and sexism. Right, we're talking about things that operate across all of the spectrum of our society, and you've basically got to, and there are a lot, and I know I didn't see a lot of it until it was pointed out to me. The kind of systemic stuff, the race stuff, certainly the stuff my privilege, to use the buzzwords. I didn't see it until somebody said, "Oh, but that's for you with your advantages as a middle class wealthy white woman, that's all right for you, that's not difficult for you." And things like, I'm really tall and have a big booming voice and all this public school confidence. So actually loads of things that apply. Like, I was listening to the book again, and they kept saying, well, this is for the average man is this height and this weight, and I was like, well, I'm actually a bit bigger than that. And so and my hands are massive, and I could have any size phone I like. Hello, and so lots of those things. Not that they don't apply particularly to me, but you can see them at a systemic level, and also as an older woman, like as being somebody who's thought of as post-sexual for a lot of the men on the circuit, the sexual harassment thing. Like, someone phoned me and said, "Have you ever heard anything about ex-male comedian?" And I was like, "No." And then I phoned someone else who was my age and said, "Oh, I've heard this thing about ex-male comedian. What do I do?" And she said, "Well, just because you haven't heard it, I wouldn't have heard either, because I'm also a menopausal woman and not of interest in that way." Whereas if you asked a 23-year-old, they'd be like, "Oh yeah, Hansie McHansey, yeah."
And if you're lucky if it's only Hansie.
Right, exactly.
I assume I'm also post-sexual.
No, Harry Ray says, "I can't help being a white man, blame my parents." None of us can help who we are, but I think it's really important to point out where you are lucky in that all the bad shit that's happened to you as a white man, Harry Ray, hasn't happened to you because of being a white man, right? And that And that's all it means. It doesn't mean that bad stuff hasn't happened to you. It doesn't mean that you haven't had difficult things to deal with in your life. It just means that none of those things are because of your colour or your gender. Whereas for these three women, all of us who are relatively privileged, we've all had things happen to us that haven't happened to our brothers, our cousins, our dads, that are because of our gender. And then when you open your eyes to that and you go, oh, that's all part of that, then you go, well, imagine if I was also black or disabled or gay or all of the other things. And you go, I'm this livid, I am this furious, and I am in the same bed as somebody who has all the privileges, and I am the child of somebody who has all the privileges, and my brothers have all the privileges in theory, and I'm this raging. Imagine how angry I'd be, and I have the right to be. I was also a black woman, or even a black man. Just
This probably won't do me any favors, but what I've noticed for the gigs that are booking around me, that seems an easier sentence to say.
It was easy to write down, but difficult to say. Yeah,
lots of those. It looks as though insert name of young white male has put a gig on, and because it's not a big night, just a medium to small night, they're just putting the first couple of people on, and their first go-to are other white young males.
Right. And
so whereas we would come along as option 5, 6, or 7 if they were putting a big bill on, well, obviously they've really got to help their guys out first.
Well, and actually, one of the things that people are doing rightly, I think, is supporting people who have lost their profession, right? So giving the people whose income, whose living has been evaporated, the chance to make a bit of money and practice their job at which they make money. And statistically, there are far more white men making money in comedy than there are women and people of colour, and particularly if they're geographically close to you, Lucy, in the southwest of England, their options are fairly limited, and you're looking at kind of importing talent from outside of your scene, and that has its own, that's a no-no in its own way. So it is tricky. And I think that's one of the reasons I've had a really good August, is that I am one of the few women at my exact stage. Right? So who is also a driver, so I think I've, obviously I'm also brilliant, but but I think people have been like, well, I need to book a mixed lineup. Who's around? Who is, And
also it's that thing of, if you know people, like from my experience, it seems to be, if you know someone, or if you, like Jeff Japers made a little message earlier on, it just reminded me, oh my God, Jeff.
Yeah.
Whereas if you're just sat at home kind of berating the world, going, why doesn't anyone book me, whilst maybe not asking, or maybe not putting yourself out there, which is what I did for a very long time. It's they know people is, so it's yes, you're brilliant, yes, you're a driver, but possibly that they know you, and that means other people will see you, so that other people will book you as well. So I always recommend to people, if you possibly can, you shouldn't have to pay to play, but if you possibly can, and go to a gig, chat to the promoter as well.
And also just, a lot of promoters are a bit like, oh, I think the process is quite not transparent. What's the opaque?
Yes.
So it's very easy to know how to get gigs at an open mic or a young comics or new comics night. But that's Jeff Japers. It's very transparent how to get onto a new comics gig. But the next step up, where you're doing middle spots, unpaid on bigger bills, and then middle spots, pro bills, opening, blah blah. It's really hard to know whether you are considered at that level. And I put a little video on our women's group this week, just saying, I mean, I need to watch it for myself. I'm just as bad at this as anybody else. But like, I've got a really lovely new video and I'm like so super keen to send it out, but also not entirely sure who to send it to. Because, right, I think it's really good, and I think it's really funny, and it is this sort of slightly more stuff. And I think, you know, I think I would like to be telling the next lot of promoters who I am, and just going, oh, this is who I am. But it's hard because you don't know who they are, and you don't know necessarily who books the gigs. They're not very transparent about who, and you don't know. And in the now times, obviously, we don't know what's running or isn't, which is
and you don't know like what they are going to be, how they are going to be either.
Yeah, and you don't know how to feel about spec videos and things like that. And I sort of think if you're promoting in a sort of semi-professional, professional way, wouldn't you be expecting to be getting spec videos all the time? And you might be able to respond saying, I don't look at spec videos on a Tuesday. I look at spec videos when I'm booking a night. I will look at your spec video then.
Yeah. It does drive me insane. I mean, this happens for everyone, that when you just don't get a response at all. See, not even a...
doesn't bother me at all. Doesn't bother me at all, because you can be applying for proper professional jobs these days and not get a response.
Yeah.
Like, you can do a full job application and CV, blah, 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 and send it out to somebody whose job it is to recruit for that position, and you still won't get a response. And most promoters are doing it in their spare time as well as running.
Oh, yeah. I'm not having a go at promoters, and you're absolutely right. I just wish, on the whole, I wish people would respond. Even just a general one that your email can just send out, or I think Facebook can just send out, say, we're busy at the moment, we'll get back to you when we can.
An auto response, just so you don't sit there thinking it didn't send. Do I send another one, or am I that person that sends two?
Yeah, and do I send too many too? And yeah, and going back to like when you're at an open spot level, then trying to get to the next level, and like you've exhausted all the people you know locally that have been brave enough to put on their own gigs. So then, you know, it's difficult. When I started, it felt like all the boys bandied together as well. Even though I'm good mates, I consider myself good mates with a few people. I know they met up a lot more without me, and I kind of bandied up with the one other female that was on the scene. It's just a natural thing. And it was only down the line that I thought, oh, right, yeah. I was like on a gig with someone, and he was like, oh, yeah, I saw so-and-so last week. I've seen so-and-so. We've all been out. And I'm like, oh, okay. It's that kind of thing as a woman. You're like, well, is that because you all think I'm a prick? Or, you know, would it have been different if I was a man?
If you have caregiving responsibilities, you know, I'm not able to go out. You know, like, for two things. Number one, I have caregiving responsibilities. I can't just swan out the house every night. Number two, I'm old enough to have friends that I want to see from other walks of my life. You know, I'm not going to say, I've got real friends, bitches. But, you know, like, if I use up tokens, as I think it is, on going out socially with comedians, then I've used up a token that I can't then use on my friend Anita, who I've known for 12 years, or, you know, I can't use them on that. So then then I'll have to balance that up. And I think women tend to have friends outside of their obsessions.
Yeah, that's very true.
You know, whether you consider comedy to be your work or to be your obsession, because it's one or the other for all of us, we tend to have friends we tend to retain them and keep them from the parts, and maybe men a bit less so. I don't know. I'm generalising hugely, of course.
We haven't had anyone angry going, that bullshit, I'm a man and I've got lots of friends, so I think we're okay.
Yeah, lots of men do, but you know, I also know plenty who kind of, you know, their friends are either the people they work with or the people they comedy with or whatever. You know. And especially younger men.
Can I ask you a quick question? It's just, this is somebody asked me this, and I was like, I don't know. What do you think of all female lineups? should there be gigs where it's like, oh, it's a woman's gig? Or because a friend asked me that when she was starting out, and I was like, I don't like that because it feels like we're specialist. And then she went ahead with it anyway, and it was massively successful and really good. And I was like, no, I'm full of shit. But but it does make me feel like, oh, we're not we're not a genre, you know?
Yeah, I know, but I mean, bear in mind, I run Funny Women, which is an all-women's night. Right? So,
oh yeah, and Funny Women. yeah.
But now I know what you mean. You kind of like, but I think it's still the case that having somewhere Lucy's like that.
I'm not cringing, Lucy.
I think
That
it's
was a legit question.
really reasonable. I quite like is when it's an all-women lineup, but nobody's making a fuss about it, right? And they're just going, "Oh my God, it's Fern Brady," and whatever. But these are the best, like a bit like I felt watching Ghostbusters, the reboot, where I was just like, "Oh God!" Last time they did Ghostbusters, they just took the best SNL comic actors and chucked them in a film, and it's exactly what they did with Ghostbusters. The reboot was they just went, who are the funniest actors that we've got in America right now? And it was McCarthy, McKinnon, Wig, and the other one. And who was it? Was it Maya Rudolph? No. Anyway, whoever it was just like, it is these four amazing women. God, who was it? Someone look it up.
We got Kate McKinnon, Melissa
McKinnon,
McCarthy, Kirsten Wiig.
Kristen Wiig.
Yeah.
Melissa McCarthy.
Are there only three?
There's four.
There was four. Leslie.
Oh yeah, God, of course. But yeah, so they just took the best four actors.
Yes.
At the time, which is exactly what they did in the olden days. So I like it when there's a all women lineup because it's really special for the women on the night. It's a lovely thing. It's an opportunity for us to meet, which if you're being the lone vagina all the time, because there are a few of us, they do spread us about a bit, which I think is a valid thing. That what they should be doing is giving us more gigs than we're really, than they feel we're really worth. But anyway, but I think they're really such fun, and they're such a chance to meet up and talk about the stuff that uniquely affects us. That I think I'm good with them. But I think if you are running a normal night and you make a big deal of the fact that you've booked an all-women lineup, that's maybe not so okay. Like, I sort of love the Funny Women thing. Did anybody read the Kate Copstick thing about Funny Women? It's a really good read. Kate Copstick is Edinburgh, the Scotsman's chief comedy reviewer. She can make or break your career. And she did a Funny Women short course and wrote a piece for the Scotsman about it. And she kind of went into it being a bit anti-women stand-ups, a bit not that impressed, a little bit like, oh, I kind of had thought women weren't that funny, or that I hadn't really liked that many women stand-ups. I love men stand-ups. I think, kind of slightly with that. I'm paraphrasing and I may be massively misrepresenting, but this is what, without wanting to. And she went into this space, which is a Funny Women space, where women were just chucking ideas in and mucking about the way that we do. And she had a whale of a time and totally understood that we're funny in a different, more collaborative way, or that. And it's really, and anyway, seek it out, I would say. And Hairy Ray has a really good comment. If you don't mind, I'm going to read it. How is it different from an all-male lineup? The problem is caused by the ridiculous idea that women are funny, which is ridiculous, but a patriarchal hangover. Absolutely. And I think that because the patriarchy is a structural thing, right? It's a structural inequality, along with white supremacy and all the and ableism and all of those things. There's a structure to them, and sometimes you have to put structures in place to fight them, to show them for being ridiculous. So if you go along to an all-female lineup and you have a really good time. You go, oh, okay, it's not that women aren't funny. It's that the women that I had seen before, that I hadn't had a good time with that woman, just like that time when I went and I didn't like the male comedian in the middle or whatever. And sometimes you have to put little scaffoldings in place to show how ridiculous the ideas are of the patriarchy, and to give women that equity, or underrepresented groups generally, that equity and that little shove to, you know, because there's fucking loads of structures and bias that favour men. And so yes, quotas, yes, all female lineups if you need them. Try not to make a fuss about it, I think. And I'm just running out of steam. I'm sure there's a third.
Did you ever did you ever watch that Andrew Lawrence interview?
No.
Oh, it was fucking painful. I mean, I knew of him, but I can't say I'm a big fan of his work, but I did like what I'd seen. And it was like one of those clickbait headings. Watch now to hear what Andrew's view was about being dropped by his agent or by the BBC. Find out why. And I was like, oh, fuck, what have they done? That's bad. You know, oh, let's watch. and then to hear the drivel that
he was touting himself as Britain's only right-wing comedian.
I was just about to say
he
made a few right-wing statements, but not enough to get you a UKIP leadership. He made a few, but it's like he wasn't even right-wing. He made a few right-wing statements, but then he used that as an excuse for not getting booked, but then also made the excuse that there were diversity boxes that were getting in the way of him. And then you also made them excuse of women who were open micers pretending to be comedians sitting in his seat when it came to the panel shows. Oh, it was brilliant.
Oh, I remember that. Yeah.
And then, to be honest, I can't give you a review after 22 minutes in, because I realised I'd been tricked into clickbait.
Watched it 22 minutes in though. Well done, mate.
Because I thought something reasonable or reasoned was going to come out of his mouth. And he said that he had a friend, female friend. So, like, you know, he's not sexist. Some of his best friends are females. And
one of friends have different genitals, don't they?
Yeah, one of his female friends won an award, comedy award, and then they hadn't done anything to help her. And I thought that's where the goss was going to come. I thought that I was like watching for the next part of that line. And it just sounded like a very angry little man complaining about other people taking his toys that weren't his.
Yeah. And I think it's interesting that I'm so sorry about how squeaky my chair is. It's really putting me off.
Didn't notice what you said.
Can you hear it? It is
a little bit.
that asking for equality to some men does feel like an attack, you know. And lovely St. Deborah Frances White said a thing that opened my eyes and blew my mind, which was, she said, the world has been run by a minority for centuries, right? And the minority that has been running it is white men, white straight men, you know. And actually it's time to let some of the other, we're all a minority, right? Because we're all individuals, we're all a minority. And that it has been run almost exclusively by one particular minority is terrible. And it's time to let some of the other minorities have a go.
Here. Yeah. Yeah.
Very conscious we're going to have to let you go because it's come up to the end of our time with you. But a quick toast to Dame Diana Rigg.
Oh,
was she gone? No.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, what?
An hour ago.
Bollocks.
She was pretty.
Good on you, guy. She was so amazing. New Avengers. Ugh.
Oh, I loved her in Extras with the condom hanging off her face. That was brilliant.
I've got a character that was for her, my sitcom. I mean, I've written it as Joanna Lumley, but it should have been her. I realised today, and I've sent it too late now. Do you know Diana? Do you remember Diana comic? Do you remember Diana? There was a comic called Diana. Do you remember? It was like Twinkle.
No.
No,
I was more Bunty.
Well, it was like a Bunty, but there was a comic called Diana, and there was a page had all the good Diana. Maybe it was a 1981 thing. Maybe it
was a boarding school thing.
As a normal. There was a magazine, and it was called a comic, and I had a Diana annual, and it had 4 great Dianas, and one of them was Diana Rigg, and I had no idea who she was.
Diana, she was the best Diana.
And I named.
Have you seen?
Too controversial to say.
Have you seen her daughter? It's uncanny.
I really.
There must have been a man involved.
That's what I call a master baby.
Yeah. Absolutely, it's that she's got the glint, she's got the face, every single thing. So I mean, you know, it's like, oh, I wonder if does she look like a mum or a dad?
Baby. There was someone else present, but there's no sign that they were.
No sign of it. It's just pure 100% DNA from the mum.
Wanked that word.
But thank you so much. I'm going to put.
Shoot the breeze.
So it's MAGICSPESHLAB. If you guys are on Twitter,
Spesh Magic Lady. No, you Wallies. Spesh Magic Lady. Honestly,
if I type it wrong.
You're our first returner, Louise.
Oh my god!
Thank you so much.
At Spesh Magic Lady. At Spesh Magic. It's like Special Magic Lady. It's not even a phrase. Why is that a thing? At Spesh Magic Lady.
I got it.
You got it. Right, because we were so great to have you early in our. This is number 22 because I asked Lucy earlier. How many have we done now? This is 22, and you were like in the first couple. So thank you so much. And hang around. Though we're going to chat about Bob Monkhouse, but we didn't record it. We weren't organised as we are now. We're pretty smooth these days.
I'm rubbing this background, BT Dubs. Yeah.
Oh, thank you. That's Lucy's garden. And you mentioned Pitkins, so we'll have to get you back another time to talk about Pitkins.
Oh, the Pitkins.
That was my favourite. Yeah.
What hat? Oh, Pit Kittens. Yes.
Pit Kittens.
They're growing real strong right now. Yeah.
Mine's going really well as well, actually. I'm just
Pit Kittens today, though. Anyway.
It gets to a certain point where your deodorant clumps, but apart from that.
Oh. It was as smelly as Sarah Bridgman's when she was a nanny.
Right, thank you so much. We are your biggest fans. You are an honour to have on the show, and probably in about 22 episodes we'll get back in touch and beg you to come back.
Yeah, when I'm 40, we'll come back. I'll come back.
Oh, thank you so much. Love you, Louise.
Bye. Can I just leave? Leave.
Yes, you can leave now.
Leave. Do an Larry and press the red button.
Press the red button. Oh.
Amazing.
This is our because I messaged Lucy earlier, didn't I? And said, can we think about some features? Maybe that could be that's one of our features. Is wouldn't it great when the guest goes? We need more features. She's so great. I love Louise. She is the number one of Bristol comedy, as far as I know.
Exactly. You know, she's like, no. You're the first lady of Bristol, mate. Pretty much covered that.
Yeah. She's like the first girl of Bristol, of anywhere. She's great. I want Louise to adopt me. She's a great guest. Brilliant. Right. Quick drink now.
Quick drink. I mean, we've never done this.
I know, booze. I did get can I just say, I rushed round to B&M next door because you were like,
don't bring in diet wine.
have you at least got alcohol, Felina? And I was like, oh shit, yeah, I forgot about that. Do I open the massive bottle of Prosecco that I got for my birthday, or do I rush next door? I rushed next door. B&M, I love B&M, and I got this 3 mils, which is rose, strawberry, and elderflower flavour. So that's basically rank basic wine with a bit of flavour in it, and it's actually quite nice. But it's a low volume because it's only 5.5%. Because wine is normally at least 12. Yeah, 11, 12.
No,
15.
minimum is usually 9. Very rare to get an 8.
It's practically low alcohol.
But some of them that are low alcohol are so sugary. I remember buying a box of 6. It was ridiculously good value. Walked out the shop thinking, hey, opened it up. Took one sip, it was more sugar than WI jam.
Jesus, that's a lot of sugar.
I know. Get me right. Oh, it's this awkward time of night, right, where my computer can't work out if it's light or
day or night.
Day or night. So it tries to compensate with the camera, so it constantly looks like I'm having a disco. Yeah.
But we could record the next version of some like horror film. I'm talking to a ghost.
Oh, Casper's here. I taste funny.
Hey, and that could be a bit of clickbait. You know those clickbaits where they're like, ooh, she was talking to a mum, but look what was in the corner. And she's with a boyfriend.
You won't believe it.
But look who is looking through the window. Are ghosts real? Click here to find out. I'll tell you now. No, they're not. Not bad. Great. Chris Choppin is he's not the only one, Ray. Have you heard of Instagram?
Patriarchy.
Yeah. And Chris is doing jam, isn't he? We got wine. And
we got wine.
We should get more
nothing to do with. I should have mentioned this in the first half. I forgot in the first section. Sorry, but this is rare for me. I have taken a 2-week break off the Lucy show.
Fuck
to focus on my writing and stand-up.
You're going to.
I did it last night. I said I'll be back.
Oh my God! How was it?
I really forgot to say. It felt like so guys, tune in on the 29th or the 27th, whichever it is. And I honestly, as it was coming out of my mouth, I was thinking they're all going to leave me. They're all going to forget I exist. All my regular fans. Just
honestly, Lucy, they won't. You got to right now. I listened to Gary Barlow's autobiography because I'm a secret Gary Barlow fan.
I like Gary Barlow too.
I tell you what, I would have fought you for him back in the day. But I take that when they came back. Oh, and Robbie had left. That's my take back.
Yeah, when Gary got fuckable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Frankly. Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Oh. We've had a drink, love. We've had a drink. Let's skip through the niceties. When you wouldn't. Oh, get in the bed, Barlow.
Oh, talking about cringe. Oh, let me tell you that. Let me finish one thought today before I go on to something else. What was that thought? What was I talking about? Why was I talking about Gary Barlow?
Gary Barlow.
Hey, why was I talking about Gary Barlow?
Right, I said I was going to miss my people and worry about them leaving.
Yes, right. So, I'm sure this was in Gary Barlow's autobiography, but it might have not been. But he was saying that, or someone somewhere to do with the pop world was saying, you've got to create a vacuum. You can't just put out all the time. You've got to give people a chance to miss you. And I think that try not to show your minge on, or you can.
Vacuums there.
We'll be up to 100 Twitch viewers in no time if you show your minge. All right. Ray said, no idea. You said Gary Barlow and I drifted off.
Oh,
Oh,
right. So anyway, back to me, Seth. Finish 1 point. I have to create a vacuum.
Good. It'll do you good. You've got to have a break, Lucy. I can't. Honestly, I'm like, you do so much. I'm just waiting for the day that you go, Sarah, I can't do this anymore. I'm off the kitchen sink, because you just do so much. You do like 5 million things a week. Are you having a break from anywhere? I'm not turning off, by the way. This is me just chatting.
I'm not having a break off kitchen sink, because the only thing I have to do for the kitchen sink is watch a TV show. I don't have to do any prep, and I can get the other boys to do the guests, and I'm going to get Leon Bukowski to run the tech. I'm working with the amazing Kane from Joke Pit. He's letting me bring everyone in that I do a show with to make sure that I can be, just sit there and just, tell jokes, and every now and again other people do the clickety click. Ray, right, for our listeners on the podcast, Ray has put, I will be back to watch the Lucy show because I fancy your mum, as do 80% of the truck drivers that watch my show. There's a reason why they watch. It's for the beginning bit and the end bit. I've got a hot mum.
You've got a hot mum. Sorry, Lucy, you have got a hot mum.
Which way am I looking? Yeah, that way. Mum. I pointed at her on the sofa. I'm going to be watching this back later because she loves Louise Leigh.
Yeah.
Big fan. But it's an hour to an hour and 15. I've done 20 of them. And it takes a day and a half, sometimes 2 days to do all the planning for it.
Oh my God.
And I'm using the show as an excuse not to do practice on my stand-up or my writing. I mean, I'm like, I have to focus on this because this deadline's coming up sooner. So I've deliberately made myself take that deadline away from myself so that I can focus. Because I mean, I've got this 3-minute set in my head that I've been ruminating over now for 2 weeks, and I've not written it down. I've thought about it, but I still haven't acted on it, and I should have. But with Big World, there's no prep. And with the kitchen sink, I have to watch a comedy show. So these are not programs. These aren't shows that are distracting from what I need to get done.
But they are 2 hours. Like, this is a 2.5 hour. By the time we've
but it's seeing you though. It's not. Do you know what I mean? It's not.
We don't talk the rest of the time, quite often, isn't it?
No,
that's not a complaint either. Not because that wasn't like a. It's just that it's fact.
We don't talk anymore.
You don't bring me flowers. Get your lighters out. You sing me love songs. Oh God, I'm showing my age now. What would be a modern equivalent of that? George Ezra.
I quite like George Ezra.
Alligator gonna hit the road. Oh, let's do karaoke, guys. Right. No. Right.
Let's focus. Let's focus on another man. Right.
Yes.
Right. So I'll be teaching you how to
get my notes. I've read. Oh, before we get on to Bob, or shall I? Right. I have got a podcast suggestion. Should we do that after that or before? Right. Podcast suggestion. No, like Louise was saying earlier, beginning of her chat with us, that she's working on a show. I'm also working on a show for whenever it happens. It's always on the back burner. But Mike Birbiglia has a podcast called Working It Out. And there's an act called, what's she called now? She's in on SNL. It was the one I was listening to today. It's Leslie Jones was the Ghostbuster, by the way.
Yeah, I brought it up, but I didn't mention it in time.
So the one I was watching, right, Melissa Villasenor, she's from SNL. That's the one I've listened to today, and they talk about because Working Out the podcast, there's a lot of it where they bring on comedians and they bring in material that they've been working on. Marie Bamford's coming up, Pete Holmes, which is another of my favourite comedians, is coming up soon. And they bring in material and they work on it. And today they talked a lot about working out a show. So I think if you're looking at working out a show, that was a good one to listen to. But in general, it's a really good podcast because in lockdown, he was on Instagram most days, like Monday to Wednesday, I think, chatting to a comedian doing this, and now he's developed it into a podcast. It's really good. So if you're a comedian looking at working on material, that's good. I really recommend that podcast to listen to.
There's another podcast, an American one, that's their version of like the ComCom podcast.
Oh yeah.
Sorry, lazy. The Comedians podcast. Don't say ComCom podcast because some people don't. But well, I've written it down, and I can't remember, I know where I've written it down, but it's not in this room. But I was thinking this earlier when you and Louise were talking about things that you know, the audiobooks and stuff. When the first thing when I wake up, doesn't matter what time of day it is, I listen to the Chris Miles Breakfast Show. That is most of my day listening. Mm-hmm. Then if I've got none of that, because I fast forward through the songs and the adverts, because I always play one day catch up. Mm-hmm. Then it's the Alison John podcast from 5 Live. So between Chris Miles and Alison John, I am up to here time-wise. Going to bed, it always has to be something from the BBC Sounds app that's basically 80 to 100 years old that has death in it. Right. I've got such rigid what I like to listen to when I want to listen to it. I find it very difficult to fit new things in, but I do try. I can't. I managed to get loads of that Barbara Nice podcast in because it was enjoyable. It was easy. It's easy to find time to do that. But then when I try and put in Richard Herring's Leicester Street Theatre podcast. So much easier to say RHLSTP. Get that in, and then if I am feeling cheeky chappy, then I'm going to stick in No Killer No Filler because I do love me serial killers. And then someone's like, "Oh, you should try this," and I'm like, "When?"
No. Oh, I don't need my 4 hours of sleep a night. I'll check it in. Oh, I started my Couch to 5K yesterday. That's when I listen to a lot of stuff, as if when I'm walking.
Oh, walking is fine. Walking is fine. I'm just not a.
Well, check a podcast on then.
Yeah, I reckon I could walk it. Everyone that does that Couch to 5K, could it be walking? I thought it had to be running.
Oh no, Couch to 5K, you're meant to be running.
Oh God, I was going to say, every time I read those.
I just mean you could go for a walk and listen to a podcast. That's all.
I don't know what our version is, but you get flaccid reading the words Couch to 5K. Dry.
You get a thin on. It's a wide on for like erection, isn't it? You get a thin on. You go dry.
Go dry. Oh, I went dry listening to that.
Is this a bit early? It's only 10 to 8. Sorry if we've lost listeners or viewers.
Hey, our game, our rules.
Yeah, it's our show, as we say.
I think that I was referencing to. I think you did that referencing Super there, that Harry Ray's message in. Right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to press the button. One day Sarah will be able to do this.
Oh God, what button do you press that?
So can you see on the right-hand side, it's brand for the buttons.
Oh, right, okay.
So I'm going to press Bob. So our mics will mute during this. It's a bit longer clip because they've extended it from 1 minute to 5 minutes very recently. So there's a few more.
Have I got time to go for a wee?
You should be able to. I'll cover for you if you haven't. Go!
Hey, I've done my time. That's a hell of a welcome. Thank you very much, Dominic, for that introduction. I think of all the introductions I've ever had in my life, that was the most recent. Sincerely, Dominic. This is, as you know, this cellar is a Fred West franchise. And... Oh, God. Hi, Kevin. That's as vile as I get. I guess it's because of my age. I am feeling my age lately. I haven't got one of those stair lifts. I haven't got one of those yet. Or a walk-in bath. But my bed has one of those inventions that gradually brings you to an upright position. Viagra, you know. I stayed overnight last night in a London hotel. You like me, when you get to a hotel room, is it your domain? It is, for me, it's paid for. You know, this is where I live. This is my kingdom for the period I'm in it. I like to sleep in the nude. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that, do you? And I'm lying there naked on the bed. And the chambermaid walks in, finally. I think sleeping in the nude is a perfectly natural... I can't... Well, maybe you shouldn't do it on those long flights, but...
Right, that's finished. Just getting... Oh my God, I tell you what, wine just goes through me. And when that... TMI, but when that clip started, I was like, oh my God, is this wee just going to last forever? It just seemed like a really long wee. But luckily I made it back in time. Oh my God.
I nominated Bob Monkhouse's Last Stand, and in our tradition, because we've been doing this long enough for it to be our fucking tradition, Bridgman.
Yeah.
So you go first.
Yay! Right, I've written loads. I normally write a few notes, but I've written shed loads for this. So here we go. Right, they squeezed a lot. So this is Bob Monkhouse, The Last Stand. They squeezed a lot into that hour. I thought it was amazing. At the beginning, there's a couple of things I noticed. Number one, the audience were mostly male. And as the program went on, they do interview a woman who's actually a comic actress. You do see
was there. Josie Long was in there, but I mean, yes, predominantly penises.
95. I would say 95% male, which I thought was, and he only talks about men, but I think it's quite interesting. What I loved that he made that comment before. I mean, I remember seeing this program when it went out, and a lot of it just kind of went over my head. But as a comedian now watching it, I love that he made that comment before he goes on stage, saying, you know, about the audience. He said, "Oh, I love listening to the audience when they're chatty, they're comfortable and relaxed. You know, when I'm anticipating it." Whereas and I thought, oh, that's really useful because I get really nervous before I go on stage. But now, I thought, oh, what a great way, because I like watching an audience and noticing an audience, but from, as Ray says, master of the craft, really interesting. And I'm like, who would make, like, as a comedian, it's like the last thing that I would want is to have an audience purely of comedians. The last thing.
Hey mate, we're open micers.
I'm not. But
I mean, you ran open. You ran real fast. So do you know what I mean?
Exactly. Yeah. But that's the last thing you'd want is to have it. You wouldn't invite an audience of your peers, but to watch you. And the two sets of people I don't want to watch are my family and other comedians. And why is that? Because we can't just watch comedy. We're critiquing it as we're watching it. Yeah. So I'm like, how amazing is Bob Monkhouse? I know it's a BBC programme and they probably went to him and went, right, mate, we've got this idea for you. But he's agreed to it, and he's got nothing to prove. He's the end of his career, end of his life, that we didn't know that. He's got nothing to prove, and he goes out, he's just amazing. I love that the Fred West joke got an awe from the comedians, and any other audience might think, oh no, I don't want to be reminded of Fred West, but that awe from the comedians. They're like, oh, come on, mate, we know you can do so much better. Fred West is I know this is filmed in 2003.
At the time, it wasn't. At the time, that was cutting edge.
No, I disagree. No, that would have been a lazy joke. Say no, we're in a basement. They've had Harold Shipman. To me, I disagree. I would say even then that would have been a lazy joke. That's that when you listen back and you hear that awe from the comedians, I think that's what that was. Now settle down, Lucy. I'm not criticizing the great Bob, right? But they are waiting. The comedians are gagging for him, pun intended, gagging for him to get on with the good and get on with the really good stuff. It's so good. I love, there's the luggage shop joke, and I'm like, oh my, like, who's going to the airport with handfuls of clothes? I've heard that joke since then, so it's like, oh my God, he would have been the first to come up with, jokes like that. I love the shark fishing joke when he says, oh, I take my wife water skiing, or shark fishing.
She thinks it's
we call it water skiing. And I love one of the comedians that, said, oh, he's like the Rolls Royce of gag tellers. He so is.
That was John Coleshaw.
Right. And do you know, I think it's really interesting. It's such an interesting program. It was really higgledy-piggledy because they had him coming on doing stand-up. They're the current comedians of the time, and they would have been new comedians then in '03, you know, just putting their all's worth in here and there. And then he goes and talks to Mike Yarwood. It's like, this is all he talks about his illness, and
Don't you always bring Mike Yarwood out at the end?
I know. Good old Mike. And Mike Yarwood is talking as well.
Mike, come in. Come on in. Come on, mate.
Come on over. You know, he wasn't on TV at all at the time.
No.
And then he talks about pretty much the end of his career.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I really think that anyone that wants to do comedy should watch that program. Because people are obsessed with comedy. We love performing. We love writing, performing. I think, you know, I can only talk for myself, but we're to look into the future so much. Yeah. How interesting was it? He was talking about all the past comedians, as well as all the old favourites. He talked about Dickie Henderson, and I'm like, I've never heard of Dickie Henderson, and I searched for him on YouTube. Very funny. Would have come from old vaudeville. His kind of act was very physical kind of act. I've got to say, thank you so much for bringing this up as one to watch. Brilliant. It was amazing. Different. Very interesting. Very different. I don't think it worked as a program, I have to say. I think they should have just kept it as without the comedians coming in.
Yeah, we didn't need the flagellation.
I think the producers must have thought, well, we've got to keep people interested. No, you just need Bob Monkhouse doing his thing for an hour. Stuart Lee
I think probably as a producer, he's thinking, we've got this material from Bob Monkhouse and we've got a rich audience.
Yes.
How can we wring the most Vox Pop VT's content into it? If you're going to do the talking head adulation bit, do the show, then do the Vox Pops. And let them do the review. For me, when you said you go.
I was just going to say, I would have loved to have listened to Bob Monkhouse talk about comedy for hours.
Yeah.
They could have done an hour on that and then an hour of his stand-up. Yeah. You know, it's sad though. They must have known we were going to lose him because he was 80-odd when he was doing that. But it was so good. It was, anyway, sorry. So that's all I have to say about it. Everyone should watch it. It was amazing.
He chose the audience.
I'm so skeptical on that. I think a producer.
I would imagine somebody would have given him a big list of comedians and he would have picked through them and gone, yes, no, yes, no, yes, no. Because I saw a documentary on Bob's and he was... it was almost a mental health thing that he used to record comedy on VHS.
Right.
He had a shed and he had like 3 or 4 TVs set up and he would record. You remember you used to be able to set a time on the video and record on VHS. And after he died, they went through these annals, the shelves upon shelves. They managed to find Lenny Henry's first Opportunity Knocks performance as he's standing up there doing Ooh Betty.
Oh my God.
And Lenny thought that was lost to time. But Bob recorded everything. He loved comedy and comedians. So he would have known who those people were. Because if he wasn't watching it, he was recording it. And he would have kept his ear to the ground. And also, a lot of these new people were having a pop at him. So he would have wanted to know which prick was having a go at him and if they were funny enough to have a go.
Yeah.
Because I'm sorry, having Ben Elton slag me off would not cause me any fucking sleepless nights. It's only with people with talent, you know, that should really upset you. I've never liked Ben Elton, never liked Lefty Dale, never liked Tony Slattery. None of them. That white, angry, complacent, entitled, spitty drivel that comes out of their fucking faces.
Okay.
Sorry, that's the Carlsberg talking.
But
the point is, he went out there to do a stand-up to an audience, and I wouldn't say they were peers. The audience would say they were peers. Bob would know they weren't peers. But they were people in the audience, were people that would have the nation's ear if they wanted to slag him off.
Mm.
So he had smack the pony girls. You know, he had the guy Gary something or other that introduced him, or at least sort of the handshake before you get the microphone. It was like, get off stage, mate. Bob's here now, and he was just standing there like that.
Dominic something or other.
Dominic, that's it, something like that. And he was just like, cheers, mate. And he's like,
thank you. Who would be an equivalent now?
But I mean, even down to the first thing out of the Dad Junior's mouth was, "Oh, the Albany isn't the sort of place you'd find him." Excuse the fuck out of who? Sorry. Yeah. You think that Bob Monkhouse, who has probably played in more dive holes than you've had hot dinners, isn't somebody you would imagine seeing in the Albany Comedy Club? Who do you fucking think you are, mate? Do you remember when Bob Monkhouse's joke books went missing? Anybody that's not from the UK that is listening or watching this show right now, Bob Monkhouse was one of our triple threats. He was handsome, sang, could present, could tell jokes. You know, he could have a husband and wife on from Rochdale to win a car, and they'd leave, even though he'd made fun of them. They'd be laughing at the joke.
He'd be Mr. Saturday Night, wasn't he?
Mr. Saturday Night, Mr. Shiny Floor Show. He had a way with him where he had he alphabetized his subjects. So, Sarah, you got a ukulele. He'd have a joke that was about ukuleles. You say that you're from Swansea. He'd have a joke about swans, sea, and whales.
Oh, good. I'll get in touch, see if I can borrow any.
But he had all of his jokes categorized so that no matter what interaction he had with anybody, he could backhand out a joke from that subject. And that commitment to the craft. Some of the jokes weren't original because it wasn't in those days. I mean, I keep mentioning that Funny Nation, Ellis James's Funny Nation, which is a look on Welsh history. And it was Owen Money that was saying back then, the working man club's comedians, you would share jokes. You were just telling comedy for an hour. It didn't have to be original. No one's asking you for tell right from the truth, political or sob story. It was just get on and say, my wife's so fat. Da-da. And I think he did it with such grace, but to know that he knew that he was on his way out hurts me as much as listening to Johnny Cash do I Hurt Myself Today. I can't, do you know what I mean? It's
yeah. And he was he was an amazing gagsmith. He was an amazing joke writer as well. Don't go anyone thinking he had to borrow jokes. He was an amazing
No, but just when you've got 3 million jokes.
Well, his joke books. I mean, he put up how much did he put up like a ransom for to have them back? It was like he put
I'm just writing. I'm just googling it now.
But it's interesting talking about him. I mean, I noticed Mark Steele's comment about him being not a natural persona, and that he worked really hard at it. And I thought, ooh, that's it. That could be seen as quite a cutting comment, you know, especially when people talk about he's a natural comedian or he had funny bones or anything. With Bob Monkhouse, he worked at it. He did work at it. And it just goes to show that, not everyone is just going to roll out of bed and then just be another Peter Kay, that it's okay to work at it, because he did. And he's at the bloody top of his game.
Yeah.
Phenomenal. Yeah, and he was, he wrote for other people, and what he was saying about Peter Sellers. I thought it was a bit odd. Why was he slagging off Peter Sellers' mum? That was weird.
Well, Peter Sellers was an absolute fucking arsehole.
Yeah, I don't know. I loved the Pink Panther.
I can't like anything that Peter Sellers has done now because of his behaviour.
Oh, I don't know. I didn't know anything about his private life at all, Peter Sellers. But yeah,
this is a family joke that we use a lot. Is he actually gave his daughter a pony for a birthday, but then one of his friends wanted it, and he gave it to him the next day.
What? Oh my God.
He's the original pony giver. That's why the joke is Peter Sellers is a pony giver. He was a horrible, horrible man.
Yeah.
But because he was talented, people said he was creative and not hurtful. So it's sort of that John Lennon, don't poke the creativeness. When actually he was just I've had a drink. I'm trying not to use the word because I know that later on, sat over there, my mother's going to give me a fucking look.
Yeah, you don't want to drop a C-bomb with your mum sat next to you.
Are we allowed to say the C-bomb on Twitch?
I should imagine so.
Oh, yeah, that's it. We can't show our nipples.
Oh, right. That's okay.
it. You can say the C
Damn
word,
it.
but you can't show the
Just
nips.
when I was thinking of, I know what this program needs.
But he was, he gave £20,000 in 1996 as a reward. That's a lot of money.
That's a lot. And there was a lot of money back then as well.
Yeah.
Was it 24 years ago?
He 49, 59, 69. He had 2 wives. And it looks like that he was married for a very long time. And he just came across as a person that was nice. I know he looked shiny and tanned and gimmicky or cheesy, but I felt he just came across as a nice guy.
Yeah.
And
it's interesting though, like, yeah, sorry, that's a discussion for another time.
But he was very good friends, wasn't he, with Bob Hope as well? Bob Monkhouse and Bob Hope.
Don't know. I know that he was trying to emulate Bob Hope.
Oh, without a doubt.
I don't know who's friends with him, but I know that was who he said in the program. That's who he was aiming for. He wanted to be the British Bob Hope, and I think he succeeded. You know, because he even tried to get into films as well, which I wasn't aware of.
He was his gag writer.
What, Bob Hope?
Yeah, he was his. Bob Monkhouse was gag writer for Bob Hope.
Oh, I didn't know that.
When he went over to Americas, yeah.
It's like when Tom Jones met Elvis Presley that he never talks about. Elvis wrote Pink Off one day.
Because I was like, I asked to do a Tom Jones impersonation the other day and I just coughed at them.
Ray's putting up the goods. Is anyone else commenting? Because Ray is holding up the audience's weight of commenting tonight.
Yes, he was in the Doctor series. Very, very young. But in the same way that Sid James had a few bits and pieces, like in Father Brown Mysteries, but he's a very young boy, but he never managed to make it further than character. He tried doing lead, but didn't make it. But I know I love my Victoria Wood and Michelle Wolves, and I know like the Tiffany Haddishes, but I do think it would be ignorant as comedians to not say, look, the patriarchy is around. And they were mainly male comedians. And this is a male comedian from our heritage who managed to engage the audience. He was able to do a clean act, which I find incredibly difficult. You can see the effort and the craft that went into it. Now, my mother will lean over to me now in real life when this is watching back and tell me that I've just misquoted every fucking thing she said. But there was a comedy club in Caerphilly in the 70s called the Double Diamond up by the station.
Right.
1,000 people seated capacity venue, mainly for comedy. We're talking your Coopers. It was sort of, imagine like Vegas sequins, but with a lot more blush bronzer and a lot of hairspray. And Mum said that she went up there and saw Bob Monkhouse in the Double Diamond. And this is where my mother is my mother. She's so amazing. He was too blue, so she phased out.
Oh no!
She said, too rude, couldn't be bothered.
Do you know what? If I had a time machine, I would love to. I bet it was amazing to go to these clubs in the 60s that were like packed out because telly was shit back then. I don't know. It was the dawn of TV. Not everyone had a TV, but people would go out. They'd dress up in these amazing dresses and the hair and makeup, and they'd just go out and and like no one seems to, I know obviously we're in COVID times, but once the going out, people just don't seem to like go out anymore. And if we do, I don't know. I just wish it was like Mad Men, you know, but without all the sexism.
Sexism and rape.
Yeah, we could leave. Yeah. So I'd love like a Vegas style club, you know, with like the little tables with the lamps and.
On that Ellis Jane Funny Nation, they had footage from inside the Double Diamond, and it's so weird. I never wanted to be No, I didn't want to be a comedian. I hadn't realised that was my calling yet. So when I lived in Caerphilly, I knew of the Double Diamond. Everyone knew of the Double Diamond, but
didn't it used to be a lager, Double Diamond?
If you went to Toby Carvery's or the Cedar Tree at least, there'd be Diamond Club. Anyone over the age of 50 the night before 5 p.m. was in the Diamond Club. But Double Diamond, I think Double Diamond was a cider. And correct me, Mum, if I'm wrong.
Yeah.
I think Double Diamond was a cider. But yes, right. Okay, this is exactly it. Packed out, full of smoke, misogyny oozing out of every pore. I would have loved to have gone for the night.
I'd love to be dressed in jewels and a nice
blush, eyeshadow that goes up to the eyebrow, shoulder pads so big you can rest your fag on them. It was a beer. Double Diamond sounds more cidery, but I'll take your word for it, right? So the thing is,
I'm gonna have to Google now.
There was one of the biggest comedy clubs in South Wales. It was the Wembley Arena of South Wales, and you had all the big British acts, the English acts coming over as well. God, can you imagine if they had a comedy venue that big and it was sat down around round pub tables, not rows? It looked like a fucking big pub. It wasn't a theatre. It was a comedy store.
Mm.
You can't just do a theatre for a comedy night. It needs to be little tables.
Yeah.
Red velvet seats.
I'm gonna say one of my I'm trying to Google Double Diamond. Last year.
Here or the club.
I'm just putting Double Diamond in and seeing what comes up. Oh, never mind. It's something technical, scientific. It's a beer, yeah. Well done, Ray.
There you go. Can you see that on my screen?
Yes. Oh, wow.
And those big long tables in the middle.
Yeah.
And that was in Caerphilly up by the station. Up by the station, was it, Mum? Yeah.
God, I bet that was electric.
I know. And there's Mum. Because Bob's been too rude. She's like...
Oh, he's being blue. But you know what? I did a gig in the Con Club in Gowerton, and the rule is no swearing if there are ladies present.
Tricks.
And one of the acts that I booked, he dropped the C-bomb. I was like, oh, thanks.
Please tell me it was a woman.
No. It was a bloke. I was like, oh. And they were, you know, you could tell, you were like, oh, God. If there were only men, it would have been fine. But if there were women present, it's like, oh.
Cheers, Sarah. I've had a lovely time tonight.
Yeah, cheers.
Cheers, babe.
That's been really good. Yeah, we should bring alcohol more often. Would anyone watch if we did a late night version?
Start at 10 o'clock. Sarah's asleep by 11, and I'm just doing a one-woman monologue until midnight.
That late? I'll be asleep by half 10.
Right. So
I know it's mine for next week.
Who are you going to suggest?
Right. I haven't double checked my spreadsheet. So I'm going to go off cuff.
Yep, that's the best place to be.
I'm going Joan Rivers.
Because it's the anniversary of her passing.
Is it? Yes, that's why. I mean, I had that planned.
I mean, you know.
I think it mixes up your two. You know, one of my favorite things, which is American comedians. One of your favorite things, which is older comedians. Joan Rivers.
What are you going to choose? What are you going to choose?
I'm tempted to choose the documentary, to be honest with you.
I was going to say you're going to go audience with a documentary. I mean, fascinating.
The documentary is so interesting.
Oh,
Should we do a documentary?
that's the only noise I can make.
Documentary. But I'm not sure. I'm just going to quickly check. I'm not sure how anyone would see it. That's the only thing. I don't want anyone buying it. I've got it on DVD. I bought it when it came out. But I'm just double checking if it's on Netflix or YouTube.
I'm doing YouTube. You do Netflix.
Okie dokes. Yeah. Joan Rivers on Netflix. Yeah. There's only Don't Start With Me, the stand-up. So maybe we'll go with that. Ooh, Wanda Sykes. That's a good one for the future.
There's the real Joan Rivers story. 22 minutes 55.
Where's that?
On YouTube.
Is it legit or is it just?
Did you? It's got it. What's that Scottish? What's the Scottish comedian's wife called? Not the 9 o'clock news. Billy Connolly, Pam.
Oh, Pamela Stevenson.
I know her name. I just have to go round the houses to get. Not the 9 o'clock news.
Oh my god. Oh. Right, I say, because that documentary, I don't know how legit that is. Let's just go with the actual stand-up that's on Netflix.
Okay.
Oh, Ray's complete. Ray, I'm not on Twitch at the minute. Sorry that your thing got blocked.
Well, if you can't write the word vagina, Ray, just write the word gash.
I can't even see it. Hang on, I'm on there, but I don't know. Oh, yeah. Right.
Right. So which one are we going for then? Don't Start With Me.
Right, I'm on Twitch. Right. I'm just gonna. Everyone have a read of that now while I'm
still right. For our listeners, I'm still working on Louise's comments about the lone vagina and wondering what would be a suitable tonto for it. It'd be a horse called Always. So
I'm saying, do you have Amazon Prime, Lucy?
I don't have Amazon Prime, no.
Right, let's go. Joan Rivers, Don't Start With Me.
Joan Rivers, Don't Start With Me.
When she recorded this stand-up special, so I think that's friggin' amazing. So yeah, Joan Rivers, Don't Start With Me. But if you get a chance, watch the documentary. I can't remember the name of it. I will Google it before we finish. Hang on.
We'll put her details up on the Sync Girl Twitter and we'll put them on the Facebook as well. Don't Start With
A Piece
Me.
of Work.
And if that's right. Oh no, it's a different scarf. I thought that was the scarf she had off the BBC audience with, but that was real fur because she comes on stage and beats the crap out of it because she says it's not dead yet.
Hang on a minute. A Piece of Work. Oh, it's not available. 98k views. So it was on YouTube once, but it's not there. It's not available now. So
Don't Start With Me.
Basically,
boys and girls, by next week, get some Joan in you.
Yeah, have a bit of Joan.
Yeah,
it is brilliant. I've listened to it loads of times
because she passed away. I think it was 2 days ago, but like in 2016, I think it might have been. And I spent the day just reposting her jokes, and so this is what I posted on my go through all the self-flagellating stuff. Right. Is it your first? Do you want a natural birth? I had a Jewish delivery. It's where they knock you out and wake up when the hairdresser arrives. My vagina is so dry. I got in the bath and the water just went whoosh. I curtsied for the Queen once. She was so grateful. She said, your roots need doing.
She's so great. She died in 2014. 6 years ago.
6 years, yeah.
do you know what? It's such a shame because she died having an operation she didn't need. It's like, why?
Yeah, I mean, poor Melissa. She's been through it. She's been right through it. And I mean, it's terrible. I mean, we'll discuss this next week, but most people should be aware of the fact that her first husband killed himself. And as a daughter of somebody who's killed himself, that must be fucking difficult. But to be the partner of somebody, do you know what I mean? As a child, you'll never understand what adults do. But to be the partner of it and your partner doesn't lean out to you and go, I'm not feeling well. That's...
But we know a bit. I mean, we can talk about this next week and, you know, trigger warning and everything. We know, I mean, back then... Lisa just made her face go, fuck the trigger. She's had a few beers and she's like, whatever. But we know more about suicide now than they would have known then. Back then, they would have been like, oh, it's so selfish. Oh, they've, you know, that they, you know, it's a selfish thing to do. Now we know it's an illness and it's a brain thing and, you know, horrific. It's so sad.
What's my favourite drag queen that was on the interview with her? Fill the blanks in.
Bianca Del Rio. Talking about
I love her.
Bianca Del. Oh, me too. I really want to see her live.
Should we message her?
Yes. Oh yeah. Like she's gonna go. She'd be like, I think she would laugh for a week if we went, do you want to come on our show? Yes.
You never know. She could be feeling like her blood sugar could be low one day. She could say yes by mistake.
Let's bombard her. Let's just right. Let's just kidnap her. Let's go. You know, king of comedy style. Escalated.
It's escalated.
Oh, who's that at the door? I think it's the police.
Oh, it's fucking Mike Yarwood again. Mike, will you leave it?
Oh, that was sad, wasn't it? He's coming out and he's going, oh, I think I'd quite like to do something else in my career. And like, we've never seen him since. It's like, everyone went, nope, we want impressions of you and anyone else, anything else.
Right, back to Bob. Okay, so I know this is a bit higgledy-piggledy, but this is what happens when you introduce alcohol. So people, you know how nowadays people are on Twitter, where we could post a picture of us right now looking great and somebody be like, oh, I don't like your top. Oh, I don't like your wallpaper. Oh, your face is too thin, too fat, too this, too that, too this. The alternative comedians back then were like that towards the old guard. Right. I felt as somebody, come here, Coco. As somebody watching or reading the news or watching interviews, to be as young, so what year was that? 2003, 2000s back. I mean, yeah, when I was sort of mid-teens, late teens, as a comedy fan, I would watch TV and interviews and read interviews, and I would pick up a rudeness from the new wave of comedians that didn't sit well with me. Because you're allowed an opinion, but you haven't got to be rude with it. Especially not if you're doing it to make out you're better than the other person.
I don't think they did. I don't see that. Good face. I didn't see rudeness. I mean, Ben Elton, that's his thing, to be rude. Motor mouth, that was his, and I think isn't it a natural thing for the new people, the young people, to tear down?
He's writing the musicals for the Socialist Worker Party. Where are you now, Elton? Living in Mayfair? That's not my plan.
I saw interviews where they were saying, well, you know, the workingmen's club's comedians were like swapping jokes. They weren't coming up with their own stuff. They were talking about stuff that was donkey's years old, and they were sexist and disabled and all the rest of it. Isn't, you know, that's something we want to get rid of, isn't it?
But maybe it's a sportsman-like British thing, but I don't think you need to play dirty to beat your opponent.
I agree.
Do it in your craft, be better. Be better. You don't need to put yourself up by punching down.
But what makes you think they were playing dirty? Is there anything you can point me to that I can watch and go,
I'll
okay,
have to
fair
look it
enough?
up, but I remember because I used to watch so much TV, so many interviews.
Mm.
You were probably going out and having fun with people, and I'm staying at home, watching TV, and it would be any kind of interview.
The next person. Don't go making out like I'm a party animal. Well, I was.
Sarah putting the goer in the gower.
You cheeky bitch. Betty, I'll have you know.
You could play her easier than the ukulele.
Just
You're writing that
because
down, aren't you?
argument. What was that you just said? There's no need to go play dirty. Isn't that what
I'm
you
jealous.
just said?
That's jealousy, love. That is jealousy. Some of us go out, some of us stay up all night retweeting Joan Rivers.
You've asked for it now. It's coming off the wall.
Get the uke out.
Yeah.
I have to
By
keep
the way, we
reminding ourselves
finished.
broadcasting.
If you want to watch like a car crash, stay tuned. But if you're like, I have a life, has this program finished yet? We have finished. This is like the after party, isn't it? Right, who can guess what this song is?
Fingers on buzzers.
Ray, you can't answer because you know what this song is. I've done this in the pubs before. Right. Oh, hang on. Hang on. Oh, I can't.
Watching our viewing figures and seeing if there's
Oh, hang on. I'm gonna get it. I'm gonna get it. No, I'm gonna get it. Hang on.
Oh, listeners and viewers, the patience you've got for sticking on with this. Should we mute her? Raise your hands.
Got 5 people.
Not one viewer.
Hang on. Hang on. I'm so gonna get this. Hang on.
Oh, we picked a viewer up. Someone's walked in at the wrong time.
The ukulele's come out, Jeff!
Right.
Yeah.
Jeff, is that you know the song or you know what's happening to her?
Well, it sounds like it's in tune. Why won't it do what I want it to play? That's it. Right. Can you guess what it is?
Wow, and she ends it with a Rolf Harris quote. Welcome to it's the theme tune to the kitchen sink.
Yay!
Yay!
Welcome to the kitchen sink. We'll make you laugh.
Jack's got it. The song. I didn't know. He's got the song. He doesn't know what's happening to you. He's held his hands under that one.
You do not want to go to the loo. You'll miss everything if you have a poo. Stay and watch the kitchen sink. It was going to be like a heavy metal thing originally, but I didn't have time.
It's I don't know whether or not Jeff's describing your mental state right now, or is a statement of fact.
What's he saying? Yes, Jeff, you got it right. It is Bad Moon Rising. Hang on. Right. One last time. I see a bad moon rising. I see trouble on the way. Don't come around tonight. You're bound to get a fright. I've got bad moon rising.
Right, I'm going to use this time. Look how good she looks.
Hello, Coco.
Look how good she looks.
Oh, she's so cute. Look at her, so
Look how we distract Sarah. Look at the cat. Look at the cat, Sarah. Look at the cat, Sarah. Look at the cat.
He is going down.
There we go. There we go. Fucking should have done that 5 minutes ago.
Oh, look at her. She's so cute.
Look at that face.
Look at her.
She's got paws like fucking miners shovels. She sits there on my chest with these paws right next to my face, and then sort of goes. And I'm like, you want to eat my face, love? You just can. I've got no chance of defending myself. Just take a cheek. Right.
How's she getting on with the kitten? Before we go.
Well, because she's not been very well.
Yes.
Just
Ray. Rude.
Yeah, nobody was singing. Oh no, she did towards the end. You're right there, Ray. Yeah. Although karaoke is usually popular hits.
I do a mean Wuthering Heights and karaoke.
Really? I thought you were going to give me a mean Paddington Bear stare.
I just did it.
Do you have to always look away?
Yes, I can go into character. Watch now. I'm in character.
End scene. And scene. Because we're sort of not quarantining her for a fortnight, but just making sure that everyone's got their own, they've all been medded up kind of thing before we do any main interaction. Yeah. Willow has a daughter. Willow accidentally came in the room by mistake the other day, and Coco gave her a quick slap around the face. So there you go, mother and daughter bonding's going well.
You're not my mother! Is that what happened?
Yeah, pretty much. And she's got paws like that.
My old cat had paws like that. Old Rory. Yeah, trip to well, what that means is when Ray says, well, this pandemic is over, I reckon a trip to Coyote Ugly has to happen. He's not being rude about that. It's not like, oh, a trip to Party Town. Well, pointing at his gonads. What he means is our local pub. Yes, cats later.
Right, we're going to wrap this up because we've overrun by half an hour.
Yeah, I haven't had food, so yeah, this wine, this 5.5% volume alcohol is going straight to my brain.
It's like a 9% to her right now. Oh, I don't know how to work this out because once it starts going like dark, I go in and out. Okay, right. Thank you everyone for being marvelous and getting involved and staying tuned.
Thanks for joining in.
We've got the guest next week is Sarah. You said it's
Claire Ferguson Walker.
Hey.
She's an artist from West Wales. She is amazing. She also did an Edinburgh show. Can't remember the name of it, but it was. I watched the last version of it in the Swansea Festival. She's phenomenal, amazing feminist, artist, fantastic. You're gonna love her. So tune in, and we have next. Who knows? I am in talks with a top comedian from the West. I don't want to say his name yet because he hasn't confirmed, but fingers crossed.
He might be gigging because he's one of the few names I've seen with a gig.
But he did say, and I quote, "It'll get me out of bath time with the kids." So he is hoping.
Oh, do you know what? That melts your heart, doesn't it?
Yeah. Oh. But we'll hope. It's ages away yet. But Claire Ferguson Walker is next week. Yeah.
Okay. So, Sarah, you sent me. I was going to say we'll put some of her work or a link to her work on the sync pages before next week, so you can have a little looky loo at our guest coming up.
I've asked for the headshot already.
Oh, you sexy bastard!
That's why I did it, to get that response.
Yeah, so we're going to stop the broadcast and then Sarah and I will have a natter at each other for 5 minutes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Are we doing the theme tune again or not bother?
I was going to press it. Yay. Do you want to press it?
No, you press it. I don't know where to press.
Okay. Bye, everybody.
Welcome to the kitchen sink. We will chat, we will make you think. You will not want to go to the loo. You could miss a lot if you had that poo. Stay and watch and join in. Yeah.
Bye.